Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Derek.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 491st edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining us on the call we have Andy Patterson and Matty DiGialinardo, going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everyone listening through the week on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice throughout the entire month of September. Nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. Plenty going on over the weekend. Next week, in fact, is the weekend to be. Canelo versus Triple G preview is coming up a little bit later on. We might talk AJ Fury. We've got a few questions as well. The big boys, Ortiz against Ruiz. We'll be talking about them soon. Just before we do so, though, everybody, to start, dear listener, on a more serious note, we don't often get serious on here, but the whole sporting calendar was, of course, postponed this weekend, which left us boxing fans in a state of disarray. As a much-loved and respected powerful woman was unable to box Savannah Marshall in London, Matty. Our thoughts and prayers are with the perennial victim this weekend, Clarissa Shields. But we can always find comfort in the fact that the GOAT can certainly come again.
Jade can't. You know what I'm saying?
So how about the wig at the end?
Steve, that was very well played. That was absolutely brilliant. I don't know that there was anybody not directly involved with that fight who has a penis that was more disappointed than myself that this card was postponed until October 15th. This definitely didn't improve my views of monarchy. But it'll be interesting to see where how everything ends up. I'm still looking forward to that card when it does happen. The odds had shifted to Marshall as not a strong favorite, but as a slight favorite, which was, Shields is a favorite. So it was getting interesting. And I think people were warming up to it. Could have been an interesting weekend, but instead, I got a fight from Costa Rica and a Showbox card, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about warming up, bring your fire extinguisher while Wellings burns in hell. Let's talk about Showbox in the meantime and forget all about it. Joseph Blessed Hands Adorno in the main event, Matty. We're going to Ortiz Ruiz shortly. Adorno got the win over Argentina's Hugo Roldan. I watched it on Friday night. Every card was 95-94 in Adorno's favour. It was a good, close, competitive fight.
Yeah, and before the cards were read, Steve, I knew that Adorno was going to pick it up. But because of course, I bet on his opponent to win by decision. As I'm watching the fight, the first round didn't look good. Second round, he's coming on, and 10 seconds left. I'm like, you got this round. Don't do something stupid, dude. And he did something stupid, and he took that shot, the little cuffing shot, center of the canvas. Not necessarily a clean knockdown, but it was what it was. Adorno taking the first half of the fight, his opponent taking the second half clearly. God, why am I struggling for his name right now, Steve?
Who are you referring to again?
Adorno's opponent.
Roldan.
Roldan, thank you. Yeah, he's an Argentinian. He only had 7 knockouts coming in, but he'd gone the distance quite a few times. Down the stretch, as he got more confident in his stateside debut, I started. He definitely took over the fight. Adorno not letting his blessed hands loose nearly enough. With Roldan switching stances a lot, throwing punches from the outside, throwing some stuff inside. Without that knockdown, Steve, he would have picked up that fight 96-94. It was a close fight. The scorecards were fair. He got stupid. And Adorno moves on in the 140-pound division, leaving lightweight. Not a whole lot going on there, Steve. One of those few fighters who ends up back on ShoBox after being on a PBC card. I don't see much more for him than testing out some young guys that PBC might be having come up.
Yeah, test out them young guys. On the undercard, quick one as well from you, Matty. Boca Chica against Villa, good fight, 2 punchers. Well matched, actually. Samson does a good job with the matching. And Frenzy Fortunato beat Bernard Torres on a 10-round split decision. There was some idiot at ringside throughout this fight. He kept yelling, yo, every time either man landed a shot. So it was just some drunken fool. And it was really annoying.
God, I'm so glad that you picked up that. You got that. And Steve, you fucked up, man. Normally you watch these fights on mute or close to mute, and you decide to watch this one on full volume. So you got the guy that was going, oh!
Every punch that was landed for the whole 10 rounds.
And some of them even were missing shots and stuff like that. And I thought it was somebody in someone's corner in the first fight.
Me too.
And now I'm like, well, at least we only have to deal with this for so many rounds. But nope, next fight kept going. And the last fight kept going. It seemed to get a little less, though. Yeah. I feel like he might have gotten spoken to. Maybe his throat got sore. I don't know. The fight, it was an interesting card too, Steve, because per usual, these are very well matched cards, and there were fights where each of them had a single knockdown, but they mattered as far as the fight ended up going. Villa, interesting guy. Bochica, definitely seemed to be the lesser fighter in that one. In the opener, though, remind me of those guys, Steve. When we get out of the way, I'm gonna have to go grab my notebook.
No, you're fine. Boca Chica Villa opened it. Then we had Bernard Torres. Now, he was a Filipino based in Norway, and he had a bit of pedigree about him.
Who had fought in Spain?
He'd fought in Spain. He'd sparred Michael Conlon and Harlem Eubank out in Spain, and he'd beaten Mark Magsayo 3 times as an amateur. So he looked like one to watch, but then he lost, so we can kind of forget about him now.
Well, I'll tell you what was interesting, though, is his opponent is the one who I ended up thinking less of towards the end of the fight. If there was any fighter who was in there who was one-dimensional, it was his opponent. Yeah, he got caught on that little short right hand. But beyond that, I thought that he definitely has more. Torres definitely has more layers. Didn't you kind of come away with that? Regardless of who won, it just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel
he's
like
small. He was very small for the weight, I thought.
Yeah, and his opponent was just able to use his height for the opening few rounds, build up that lead, get the knockdown, but eventually it was kind of figured out. I believe that one was an 8-rounder too, Steve.
It was 10.
Was that a 10?
Yep.
Yeah, it was the Boca Chica one that was 8. So I don't know. I one of those ones. Torres, I think, will be an interesting test for young guys again. Steve, I'm going to go as far as to say, last night, I didn't see any future world champions, although it was a well-matched, reasonably entertaining card.
Moving on as well, again, I said we're getting to Ortiz, Ruiz. I do like sort of going around the houses here. Interesting card in ESPN. It didn't start out quite interesting for me. A couple of women fighting. There were a couple of low-level guys and 6-rounders. In the main event, Christian and Billy looked really good. Head, body, smashed the shit out of DeAndre Ware, who's no world beater. But and Billy looked really good. I'd like to see him again. But on the undercard, there was a bizarre incident. I know I was the only one who watched it, but Simon Keane, who calls himself Simon Keane, was going in against a guy called Newfell Uata. They both sized each other up. They went through the whole spiel of the ring announcements. They touched gloves. They went to a graphic to look at the different size dimensions. The fight started, and then Uafa went onto one knee and put his glove in the air. Basically did a Curtis Harper against F.A. Ajagba. I thought it is some kind of protest, some kind of political protest or religious protest. According to friend of the pod, Justin, the North Carolina assassin, Uafa was trying to protest against the French boxing authorities who hadn't got him insured during the fight, and therefore his well-being wasn't looked after. I mean, why would you go through that whole rigmarole against a guy with a mullet as well? He's trained hard for this fight, and then pulling a stunt like that, I think that's absolute bollocks. But there he is, Andy, in all his glory, Uafa.
Yeah, I thought I seen it, mate. It wasn't until you actually reminded me about it. Actually, I thought it was some sort of kind of Black Power movement. And then you say, well, he's got his fist in the air. I said, well, that's the only thing he can do really with a glove on, you know. So. But yeah, it's interesting, mate. Boxing throws up all these kind of weird scenarios. But it's the first I heard about that one actually. But what his supposed cause was. If that is the issue, mate, why go through all that bollocks as you say? I mean, he's probably going to get his purse withheld. Mm-hmm. So fuck. Why even go through all that shit? But hey ho.
Maybe he's never going to fight again. But yeah, it was very strange, the whole thing. And the commentators didn't know there was complete carnage in the ring. Everyone was embarrassed and trying to find out what happened. But there you go. That's sometimes the way it happens in boxing. Over to the big guys then, Andy. We'll stick with you. Andy Ruiz against Luis Ortiz. Feels like a week ago this fight took place. Trying to remember it as best as I can. Two big fat lumps going in against each other. Question for you, Andy. Is Andy Ruiz a big puncher? Because against Anthony Joshua, I felt it was kind of like his fast, accurate shots. He was catching Joshua between the punches. That was what made the difference. But against Luis Ortiz, it seemed that every time he planted his feet, shots beyond the ear, back of the head, granted, landed a flush shot, he got a reaction. Now, that could have been more to do with the fact that Ortiz is old. We know he's had a long career. His punch resistance is probably gone. But if Ortiz had let his shots go a few rounds earlier, I think this could have got really interesting very quickly.
What round was it that Ortiz decided to start to kind of go for it? Was it not the last round?
The 12th round, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if I'd watched this last week, I would have forgot all about it, mate. When you'd be listening to an empty mic just now, I actually watched it this afternoon, and can I just be polite and say it was absolute dog shit. As you say, Ruiz, when he puts his hands together, or if he puts it all together, it can be quite frightening, especially with that power. To answer your question, I think it's a bit of both. He cracks hard enough. He's accurate with that right hand. And Ortiz is old now, to be fair, actually. And Ortiz, I think, as you say, with him getting rocked pretty much when Andy Ruiz decided to throw a punch, and if he landed it flush, it does seem to kind of stun him, rock him, wobble him, knock him down. That first knockdown, for example, was high in the head, round at the temple area, legit shot. I didn't think too much about the second one, to be fair. I don't think much landed there. I think it was more kind of like maybe his legs was one underneath Ortiz at that point. But it was the middle half of that fight. It was just slow. It was ponderous. It was just garbage, mate. And Ortiz just seemed to be kind of content to box. He had his moments where he kind of like landed a few straight left hands, maybe kind of got Ruiz's attention a little bit, but he seemed to kind of swallow most of them. And Ruiz just seemed to kind of look for power shots, to be honest with you. 5th, 6th and 7th for quiet, slow rounds, as I mentioned. And then Ortiz is down as the 7th, I think it was, or another right hand high at the head late in the round. So, just kind of what I was going to mention to you about the punch stats. I know we didn't really lay great stake in them on this podcast, but tonight we're going to make an exception, in my opinion, because when you look at the graphic it showed on the screen in Fox, I tended to fucking believe them. They were absolutely accurate, 100% accurate, because there was not that many punches getting thrown, and when they did, it was maybe 5 punches here, and then you have rounds where just kind of probing, and just Ortiz wasn't even snapping any punches out. As I say, maybe after he was hurt, maybe throwing a long straight left hand. His jab was poor. Ruiz was just picking his moments where he was just kind of standing outside, who, by the way, can I just say, it's disgraceful shape again, I must admit. But saying that, he's obviously in a fit enough shape to go 12 rounds. I know it wasn't 12 rounds at a great lick, but at the same time, it's still fucking 12 rounds of boxing at the end of the day. So he's doing it. He's doing something at least, but it's watching that was just poor, mate. And that's all the best I can really put it. It was a close fight. Ruiz, I think, won the fight purely because of the knockdowns. And there were a couple of, left hands, as I mentioned, for Ortiz that may have maybe shook him a little bit, but nothing major. And that's it, mate. That's all I can really add to it. It was just awful. I thought pay-per-view as well. Matty, did you pay for that?
Shut up.
Oh yeah.
The rest of the card was good, actually. I felt
Cruz
good
was good, but
about
that
it
was
until,
awful.
Yeah. Not impressed then, Andy?
No, not impressed, mate. Based off that, at least, obviously the Wilder fight. Well, if Wilder takes care of business, I suppose it seems to be him and Ruiz will be up next. Based off that, I've got to say, I think Wilder would absolutely decimate Ruiz. Non-activity. Second that Wilder lands something heavy on him, he could go. And Wilder's quick at just closing in that distance, quick with the feet, and he's got the killer instinct. So I wouldn't be too. I wouldn't be, especially again. I'm going to say that Wilder probably knocks him out, but just based off that there last night, mate, it was pretty obvious. It was a close fight. Ortiz had his moments where he was slightly competitive, keeping it probing, as I mentioned, a few left hands here and there. He kept it boxing basically. As I say, Wilder's got good skills as well, decent skills, underrated ability, and that punch power is fucking godly, as we've all mentioned. So. Ruiz has got to up it a wee bit, I think, in terms of like activity levels. And I mean activity. I mean in the ring. I mean, let those hands go, get those combinations going. Because maybe that's all he needed to do there last week. But against
he's
the top
not going to
guys,
be able to fucking waddle at a distance away from Wilder. He's not just going to be able to sit out at the end. Fucking Wilder's got way more step in him than Ortiz has. He'll close the distance. He'll knock him out. And I'm not going to write him off, Andy. I don't want to write off Ruiz because we saw Wilder constantly get shook up with that short shot behind the ear, right? And that kind of stuff is Andy Ruiz's bread and butter when he's inside. But is he ever going to get there?
Well, that's the thing, because Wilder's got the reach. He's got the power, as we mentioned. I think the thing with Ruiz, I suppose, was slightly underestimated is he has got decent defensive skills, and the chin does seem to be pretty solid, to be fair. I know he's been down a couple of times in his career, but hey ho, that's heavyweight boxing. But his chin's pretty solid as well. So I think Wilder's going to have to hit him with something solid or consistent to get rid of him. But I still fancy Wilder to take him out. But based off that activity level and the size of the guy, as I say, he'd let his hands go from time to time. And when he did, like maybe the 4 or 5 punch combos, they were very, very rare. But when he fucking let them go, they caught Ortiz's attention, they caught everybody else's attention, but there just was not enough of it. And I just think with a guy like Wilder, with his, as we mentioned, his ability to kind of like close the gap and land that right hand over the top.
I just realized how Ruiz fights. He fights like an obese Mexican Jean Pascal.
Well, here's a comparison for you, Matty. Des says it's a genetic thing for Ruiz. John McDermott, who fight fans will remember, gave Tyson Fury a hell of a fight in their first contest. Got knocked out in the rematch, but there was an argument for Big John getting that. Anyway, Des says John McDermott was the same, Fury to a degree. Big John was a very good ABA champion, just couldn't get his body to look beautiful. Ruiz is the American version, but Andy mentioned there, Matty, about Wilder. I think it's nailed on for Ruiz to fight Wilder at some point. They're both with the PBC. On paper, at least, Ruiz still holds that credibility of being a former unified heavyweight champion, and Wilder himself has been a long-reigning WBC champion in the past, and he'll probably hold that title again at some point soon if the belts become fractured. It makes sense for Uncle Al to try and make that fight if he can. It'll be a pay-per-view as well too.
Oh, absolutely. And I told you guys last week that the worst thing that could happen for PBC was for Ortiz to win, because there's not a lot of sell behind Wilder Ortiz 3, right? But Andy got it, and people aren't going to be super excited for it, though, Steve. I think a performance like that takes the shine off of it. You're throwing 24 punches around, 8 punches a minute. That's, and I see what Des is saying there. It's a genetic thing. The way he looks, okay, maybe, but I don't buy that. If it was a genetic thing, he would throw more than 24 punches around. He's out of shape. The end. And we saw him come in at a lower weight against Arreola. And yeah, Arreola dinged him up a bit, but he does that. And Andy Ruiz was blessed with with the golden opportunity to become the first Mexican heavyweight champion. And I feel he is not doing his people any service right now, because I feel like he's making a lot of money off of that acclaim he achieved, and he's just phoning it in. You need to give the people something more than that, Andy. 24 punches around, getting booed by a heavily Hispanic audience in Los Angeles. Step it up, dude. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, maybe we all need to step it up. A couple of things before we go on to the undercard, Matty. First of all, I thought that Ruiz was a worthy winner. Take the knockdowns away, you're into draw territory. So what did you think about the scorecards? And also, where does that leave Ortiz? I thought at the end, here we go, nice swan song for him. He'll just retire, disappear. He's clearly a massive puncher, but his resistance has gone, and he's about 70 years of age. But I think this kind of keeps him strangely relevant now.
I thought the scorecards were dead on, Steve. I think I recall saying to my friend before the cards were read, I think it was even on rounds, and knockdowns are going to be the difference. And it's fair. But Ruiz, Ruiz heads into that fight with Wilder. Ortiz, I think you're going to see him probably in against a Frank Sanchez. Actually, I think that's exactly who you're going to see him in with there, Steve, and I think you're going to see it in Florida. An all-Cuban heavyweight showdown, one last good payday for the big man. I think you're going to see that.
Who, Frank Sanchez against Luis Ortiz?
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually.
In Florida, huge Cuban population.
Yeah, but they didn't really turn it, really.
They will.
A smaller venue, though.
Sanchez can snatch his name, I suppose, before it disappears altogether.
Exactly. Passing the mantle.
Right, before we dip into the chat and see who's swimming about in there, Andy will go on to the undercard. Cruz against Eduardo Ramirez. Ramirez moving up to lightweight. Turns out a bad decision after all. Cruz is a banger. Yeah. Got him out of there.
He did, mate. Second round, he just kind of hunted Ramirez over the ring. Obviously, I think he maybe got hurt in the first round. But if you look at the second, he was just basically on his bike, circling the ring, and Cruz is just basically just moving, hovering him around him, trying to catch him. Finally does catch him, actually kind of backs up too much, and Cruz just leaps him. Well, I think he maybe tries to move it to the right, I think, Ramirez, which what he was doing quite a lot during the fight, but Cruz just kind of leapt in with a left hook and iced him, or dropped him at least, and I think he's then followed it up, basically, and absolutely done him in after that. The referee maybe gave him a wee bit too extra time to kind of recover, but wasn't really kind of answering. The mouthpiece was kind of like propping it a wee bit, goes to jab, and then just kind of just jumps in with another heavy shot, and it's just a brutal knockout, basically. So good to see Cruz back in the win column as well, getting a wee bit of momentum going after the Davis loss. But again, as he says, he's keeping himself kind of like top billing. I think it was co-main event, so I think the next couple of fights, if he keeps doing what he's doing, at least he'll definitely get some sort of kind of world title fight of some sort of description, because that was in the end pretty brutal. Was it a 3-punch combo? I think it was against the ropes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again, to be fair.
Absolutely. He brings the heat in a Marcus Maidana kind of style, Matty. A couple of fights on the undercard to mention to you. First of all, I said last week, I'm taking the W on this one, that Edwin De Los Santos jumped in place of Josevio Corrales. It has the makings of a better fight. He's a big puncher. He stands in front of it. He could be dangerous. Valenzuela's not great. He showed that. He just kept on hitting him. Valenzuela kept on standing there and taking the punches. Thought he could outpunch De Los Santos, but he couldn't. He got knocked out in the third round. And then an L for Wellings, back to previous form. I thought Joey Spencer would be in deep against Kevin Salgado. Might even lose the fight. He never looked like even losing a round. Thought he completely boxed his ears off.
Yeah, Salgado didn't look good in that one. And I don't know, Steve. I watched that, and somehow I still can't get behind Spencer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yeah. I know he won and he won well, but I'm like, I just, especially at 154, I'm like, where does this guy go? Who does he beat of relevance? And I can't see it. Maybe based on his size, he might get a Castaño and be able to kind of bully him. I don't know. But yeah, that was a miss on that one. De Los Santos, W for me too, Steve, paying out at 6-1 on that one. I liked that one a lot. My only W of the week, but it paid well. He got the great knockout. Totally different fighter from Jezreel Corrales. And it's funny. William Foster III fought on a smaller card, I believe last week or the week before. He fought Avery Sparrow, I think, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to start looking at the quality of that kid, because that win over De Los Santos, I mean, that's no fucking joke. I mean, I know it was a split decision, but this guy's a fighter. So, both of those guys moving forward, I'm following them because sometimes really talented fighters just happen to meet early, and they pick up that L. One of them does, but they can both go on to good things, and I think that could be the case with both of those guys.
Yeah, William Foster, that win's looking better on his record. De Los Santos is a sellout kind of guy early on. He either knocks you out, or against Foster, as the fight went on, he started getting outboxed and his stamina went. And he said against Valenzuela, effectively, I'm going to come out and I'm going to bang you out, or we'll see what happens late in the rounds. And Valenzuela just wasn't able to fight smart. Come out as a southpaw for some reason as well, which I thought was a little bit odd. But good win for De Los Santos. Also, Ruiz Salim on that one, Matty, getting a win over Mike Plania. I didn't see the Charles Martin knockout of Devin Vargas, although he's floating about somewhere. And Abner Mares, after about 4 or 5 rounds, he just completely powered down. And if Miguel Flores was slightly better opponent, he probably would have got the win, maybe even the stoppage, because I thought Mares really started to power down as the fight went on. And an ill-advised comeback, as we mentioned last week.
Yeah, and I thought Flores did do enough in that fight. People might disagree with me. The draw wasn't unfair, though. I thought it was okay. Mares shouldn't go on, especially trying to fight at 135 pounds. I mean, he had his moments. He landed a few good punches in there, but he's completely undersized. Doesn't seem to have the gas anymore. He was forced kind of having to box around the perimeter towards the end, and he wasn't doing it to any great success. So I'd like to see him back in the announce booth. I think he's getting better and better at that all the time. He does have a fighter's mind, and he's learning how to articulate what he sees to the viewers better and better as these broadcasts go on. You should probably step away, man. I think this is a warning that the next time you're getting hurt. This is not a big puncher. He normally doesn't fight at lightweight. You got away with one, Abner. Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid, Abner. A couple more bits and pieces before we go on to the questions and have a look in the chat. Andy, I think there was a call from Germany that you were dipping in and out of with your VPN.
Guten Tag!
Aye. Well, what one was it again, actually? It was... As I mentioned to you guys, it was one of the kind of influencer shows, actually. So Vinny Feigenbutz was kicking around, I believe. And nothing major, nothing great, as I says, nothing much on at all yesterday. So anything else for Europe that was on, or across the water or whatever, and that you were having to dig into it and that. So I was watching passively, shall we say, this card for Germany. Vinny Feigenbutz stops a guy, Diego Ramirez, absolute trash. Notice Vinny isn't ranked with any of the bodies at this point, actually, as well. So, again, just doing the circuits by this point, by the looks of it. I think it was one of the Belarusians. I don't know if it's one of... what's the guy's name? Put him on the show a couple of times, the promoter, Russian boy, Belarusian.
Who's been on here? Al Siesta.
Al Siesta, I think it might be one of Al Siesta's boys, Dimitris Azanu or something for Belarus. That Gregor Maiza, who's like a journeyman these days, just going. I think he might even fought Scott Harrison when his comeback fights. So just absolute trash, mate. As I say, I was looking at some of the viewing figures. It was like 25,000 at one point viewing it, and I don't speak German, but obviously I was hearing like YouTube and Influence and all that type of thing. I done a bit of digging, so that's what it was basically. I think it was 2 heavyweight guys in the end that was basically kind of headlining the show, so to speak, and. They do good numbers, whatever it was, mate. Free air on YouTube, 25,000 people turn up. So it was the happening thing, but it was nothing great, mate. I was kind of dipping in and out of that. But I watched. I was digging out some old fights to kind of watch. I was watching a wee bit of Mark Too Sharp Johnson. Matt remembers him. Bantamweight back was a flyweight back in the day. Aye, flyweight back in the day. Champion, numerous defences, the IBF crown. I'm sure it was up to bantamweight after that. And I watched a couple of Ali fights. I think it was Ali against Cleveland Williams. So I was about Ali roughly about his prime as well. So yeah, that was pretty much it, mate. So I wasn't watching any of your Showtime stuff. So I actually didn't know that was actually even getting aired. I wouldn't even have watched the enemy, to be fair. So that's what I can report, mate. Nothing major.
No problem. Yep, no, there was another fight on Friday evening in Florida. I didn't manage to get to see this one. It was the Pro Box card. Antonio Tarver, Roy Jones's show. Brandon Glanton knocking out Mario Aguilar in the second round. It's a shame. I wouldn't have minded seeing that one, actually. One thing you did see, though, Matty, these chaps going at it on Thursday night. Valley.
These chaps.
No, go ahead. I mean chaps in the nicest possible way. Was it a good fight on DAZN?
It was interesting enough. This was a minimum weight unification fight between Yokasta Valle and Taito Nguyen. And Nguyen being the fighter on the left, if you're looking at the screen here. And Valle did a good job. She throws good combinations. She definitely bossed that fight. And it's kind of, she got screwed, Steve. She came over and did this co-promotional thing with Golden Boy and DAZN. Hoping to get the fight with Sinisa Estrada, and then Sinisa Estrada fucks off over to Top Rank. So Valle is left fighting, but this was in Costa Rica, where Valle is from. Fantastic crowd. They don't even allow alcohol in the arena, so it was all energy that they got without substance, which I don't know how that happens. I haven't been able to achieve that in fucking years. But it was a very good time. Great atmosphere. Main promoter on that one is Marv Nation, not to be confused with Rock Nation. And Steve, maybe a name that needs to be known because he was the winner for the purse bid between Jose Zepeda and Prograis. And that's a really good fight, and he did put down the money into escrow. It seems to be happening. I would guess it's going to DAZN, given this relationship that he has. Yeah, we might have a new player in boxing with Marv Nation from Costa Rica.
It sounds like peak Triller, Matty, man. It's like I think of Marv out of Home Alone, man. Who come up with that shit name, Marv Nation?
His name is Marvin something or other. So there you go. It's the Nation of Marv.
The Nation of Marv, indeed. All right. Okay. So you are listening to episode 491, 9 episodes away from episode 500 for you mathematicians of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Matty's there. You've heard him. Andy's here as well.
You never know. Hold on.
Yeah.
What does Ben Russell say there, Steve? I don't know.
Marv Nation is MTK, isn't it? Well, I mean, I don't want to speculate. Wasn't there a Probellum link going on? Money floating about somewhere? Matty, boys jumping out of Dubai and into the UAE. Possibly.
I see they're running about the place, trying to hide for cover, running about the sand dunes and stuff, you know.
Wait till you find out who's bankrolling Rob Nation.
Marv TK.
See, if I heard Marv Nation, I'm thinking about that guy at Home Alone. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Hi, Joe.
I started to think
exactly.
if Marvin Gaye was going to do a promotional company, would he call it Marv Nation or Gay Nation? I don't know. These things are coming to my head.
Exactly. There you go. The Dulcet Tones of Rapping Rob Kelly jumping on the call with us, nice and early tonight, ready for our Triple G Canelo chat.
He's a bollocks, he's a bollocks undercover.
25 minutes early, by the way. Just
they missed the Southern ones that he gives you on the fucking.
Right.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Steve is nice.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant.
It's good to have Rob. It's good to have Rob here as always. Absolutely.
I know smart ass as well said, is this the no back in the day before I had hopes and dreams and all, I used to come on at 8 o'clock every Sunday.
He just walks up when he wants.
No, as a married man, I'm finding myself having to do other shit like cooking. I'm after taking that up over the last few weeks. And to be honest with you, natural at it. And it's fucking easy, innit? I don't see what the big deal about it was over all these years. It's not that hard.
But Rob, to be fair, yeah, Irish food isn't that complex, Rob. If you can't pull that off, man.
Well, I'm going to give you a good segue, actually, because I do all my food Mexican style, okay? So
Mexican pot noodle,
the best tacos in Ireland. Jesus.
Jalapenos on the soda bread, Rob.
Mexican cuisine at its finest.
Yeah. Rob living that wife nation life.
And I did a bit of stuffed peppers with mince tonight. It's easy, innit? What's the big deal? Don't see what the big problem is about all the cooking.
Yeah, why are these women always complaining? I just
Complaining
don't know
about
what their deal
something.
is, Rob.
I don't know.
Right, Ryan Deals jumped in there with a little $5 New Zealand dollars. He says here, has Wellington explained his 2 picks yet? What he's referring to here, Matty, is I inadvertently, the boys aren't believing me, but I inadvertently made 2 picks on the Ruiz-Ortiz fight because we discussed it the previous Sunday, and I said, I fancy Ruiz to win on points or whatever. Joe Kennedy had then put me in on the league under Ruiz. And then, of course, last week I made a change, unbeknownst to me, forgetting my previous week, and said, yeah, I fancy Ortiz. And I was unceremoniously outed, Mate, as trying to drop 2 picks on the Ortiz Ruiz. That was Sunday night boxing.
What do we do? Take his final answer in this situation?
You have to accept your first answer, I think, Rob. Is that not the way it goes?
I feel bad for talking you morons into that one. I'm kind of sorry about that.
All good, man. All good. Yeah, so how's the prediction league going, Matter?
You and Rob are tied.
Well, are we really tied or is Steve really winning now? We having his first week answer or his second week answer? What are we doing here?
No, I went for Ortiz. Got to be honest. Yeah.
Yep.
Got to be honest, yeah.
So it's I've got 3 for you this week because we know at least one of them is going to get canned. Yeah, we'll be holding that out till the end. Got some exciting shit going on this week, Steve. You just can't wait. Big shit brewing, my friend.
Looking forward to it. Big A says, was that corruption or incompetence, Wellings? I'd say probably a bit of both, to be honest with you. Big A, probably a bit of both. Big A's in the chat there alongside Jim McDonald Boxing. So is Cal Cheds. We've got Johnny Horsecock Nelson. Chase Athletics is there, our American correspondent. Who else have we got here? We have Deanch as well. Welcome to you. Lith going on 1983. Ryan Deal thrown in a super chat already. Grime is with us as well. So is Sad Ken. Ben Russell's floating about in there. Boxing Asylum, that's me. Nathan Ford, Harvey Price returns. Who else we got? Slappy Gilmore, good evening to you as well. David Mustard and Mark Stanton. Let's get on with it then. So before we get into
did you say Grimes, like the chick that Elon Musk knocked up?
No, just Grime. This is the lesser version, the singular.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't even know she had a singing career. I just saw that. I'm like, Elon Musk is banging some chick named Grimes. Go figure.
Oh yeah, she's quite the character, is Grimes. As we are fast.
Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Well, either way, I'd say it's probably personality based. The attraction there of the 2 of them.
Oh, what attracted you to the millionaire Paul Daniels? Oh, exactly. No, what I was going to say there was, as we are fast approaching episode 500, I've been going back into the archives and picking out some little bits and pieces on the Gmail. We get notifications from 2015, 2016 for some strange reason coming up. But that's good, boys, because it gives us a chance to have a look back at some of the old classic clips. I've cut a couple as well, starting off with this one. Emily X, remember Emily Rogerson? Friend of the pod back in the day, old Emily X. There she was 6 years ago. Best boxing podcast, guys. And someone jumped in below, says, beautiful voice, saw your video. Thanks for being a fan of the pod. Who's that, Andy? DJT1785.
Yeah, there's Danny. Thurston, man. Thurston.
What an incel.
6 years ago, mate. What was that?
Who was this? Who's DJ? DJ who?
Donny boy.
That's Donny.
Oh, it's Donny, was it?
Hey, Matty, did you see him with his shoes on this week, mate? Okay, I must be giving him a fucking phone to get these shoes back.
I thought that pink jacket he was wearing was fantastic. I thought he looked great.
The shoes when he set it off, mate.
The shoes were a little bit out, man. The shoes were a little bit out, but the jacket was on point.
Emily X even changed her name to run with a Boxing Asylum themed joke of the time. She even changed her moniker to fucking reflect the Asylum. She loved it so much, and I guess she stopped listening when I started accusing her of being Brian King.
Can't confirm or deny that, Rob.
She hasn't been back for a while anyway.
No, I haven't seen her for a while. Yeah, Emily Rogerson. She was singing, whoever it was. God knows. I got accused of being her. Brian, like I got the time. Brian King got accused of being her, and she changed her name in the Spencer X, as you say, Rob. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, call me skeptical, but you just, I don't know if she fits in with our core audience.
People just don't believe there could be attractive female boxing fans. They're like, no. This has got to be a catfish.
Donny Flexer.
Oh, you did check out Donny Flexer. Where did you pull her? I slid into her YouTube comments, actually.
Is he back yet, by the way?
I don't know. Fuck, he's on X. That was
Well, the thing is, I seen their website got hacked, so I was wondering maybe fucking Danny maybe be on one of the dodgy sites again, you know?
Oh, maybe he had. Oh, dear me. Anyway, I've got another one for you here. So this was on episode 154. You're going back about 7 years here. I don't know what you said, Matty. Well, okay, I guess we'll find out. David Doyle was quoting you from this episode. He said, Matty D, it was what it was. It is what it is. Haha, I think he had too many hits from the bonk before the podcast.
Probably the fucking most relatable thing Maddie's ever said, to be honest with you. That one.
Hey, it's tough for the weekend, man. You guys catch me right in the middle of the fucking day here. It's it's not gonna be sitting here on a Sunday morning fucking mowing my lawn and shit like that. What kind of fucking animal do you think I am?
It was what it was. It is what it is. Classic for Matty there. And just before we move on, there was supposed to be a female fight over the weekend, unfortunately, but that is not unprecedented territory for the Asylum. We have spoken, in fact, about female fights in the past, not just boxing either. Holly Holm got a routing over Ronda Rousey in 2015, and as we'll find out now, there was plenty of analysis going on in the aftermath.
Well, should we do the unthinkable here, by the way, and just jump on?
Fuck yeah!
Should we do it for like 5 minutes, Tommy? I mean, you're the boss round about here.
Sorry, mate, I missed that. What was it? What should we do?
Shall we talk about the unthinkable that happened last night?
Holly Holm was a world champion, man. Come on. She boxed her. That's what happened. There was that one kick, but she flat out fucking boxed her. That's what I saw.
It was a left hand. There was a left hand before the kick.
It was a sneaky as fuck. Sneaky as fuck.
Lead left hand, but she was outboxed her the whole fight. And once, I mean, I'm by no means an MMA fan, and I'm a casual if you want to kind of cut about it. I mean, I probably watched some of the bigger fighters. I don't know who they are, but fuck me, man, she was obliterated. I mean, if that round had been the first round had been 6 minutes long, I think she could have been stopped in that first round easily. But then I think it was only like 40 seconds into the second round or whatever it was, and she got absolutely erased. I mean, honestly, I think her head was bounced about like Sonic the Hedgehog collecting those golden rings, you know. I cannot recall that whatsoever. What was that?
November 2015.
Fucking hell.
I have to laugh as well. That's still the same. We always still do that, right? If we accidentally start talking about the MMA, whoever it is, all of us always say, no, listen, I'm no MMA fan here. But the fellas running the fucking hardcore boxing fucking YouTube channel for the last 10 years are no MMA fans.
It was that bit at the end though, man. The sort collecting, her head was collecting the golden rings.
She must have been bouncing all over the fucking place. I cannot. Was that the fight when the Irish boys were started singing? I think it was Conor McGregor on that card. They started singing, "I love you, Holly." Yeah. That was that guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's around that time. Well, she fucking disappeared off the face of the earth ever since, hasn't she? Well, I'm no MMA fan, she may be.
I cannot remember any of that, man, but that's copious amounts of whiskey ago, Steve, so I'm surprised the comments got made, to be fair.
Brilliant. I'm trying to dig out as many as I can. Like I said, for some strange reason, it stops around 2017, but on the Gmail, it brings up in the social channel all like old comments and stuff. And I just flick through them, a sad bastard that I am, now and again for a laugh. And you see the people commenting and people you've forgotten about. And it is actually quite funny. So there you go.
I think that's when I joined.
Steve, stick up Slappy Gilmore's comment on the... There we go.
That was around the time of the Frankie Gavin fight, I think, that comment, wasn't it? I've got another one for Value of the Week, so don't worry. There we go.
See, that's why you're so much more on point than me, Steve. You spend hours even going back into the annals of Boxing Asylum history. Like, I spent, 10 hours this week watching True Blood.
No, so you're running the anals out then, basically.
Dude, True Blood, it's like redneck vampires fucking. If it was titled that, everyone would watch it.
As your man out of Home and Away was in a Svinny.
That soft porn shit, man.
Give or take, I guess. The plot's good.
The HBO one with Suki and all, was that the one?
Yeah, man. Anna Paquin was fucking so adorable in that fucking... Oh, my God.
Glad you said that, not the piano, man. I was going to call the police.
Yeah, we got sidetracked. Who knows where? But let's try.
That was an adorable conversation.
Steve, you go back and check out that show and look at her fucking bubble every time she turned around and try not to fucking
It was
enjoy that
adorable
show.
as well, Matty.
Okay, fair enough. One more thing, as Columbo would say before we move on, sad bastard. So I was writing an article a couple of weeks ago on the Sergey Kovalev-Andre Ward fight, and I happened to skip into Wikipedia to have a look at what the scores were at the time, and I went down into the press section, and turns out there are some absolute experts being quoted here in the press section of Wikipedia, in case you wanted to know. So we've got Sam Shepard from Next Big Pod. He had it 115, 112 to Kovalev. He's quoted there. Andy Patterson from the Boxing Asylum gets a mention on Wikipedia as well. Ben Wiseman Industries. Alex Morris, Next Big Pod as well. And down at the bottom, Sky Sports' Tony Bellew had it draw 114, 114. So there you go, Andy.
I tell you, quite a few had that quite the same 114, 113. Alex Morris, 114, 113 as well. Stephen A. Smith. My
Bellew,
God.
who worked with Andre Ward on the movie Rocky, had it a draw.
Who else we got here? Bernard Asunov, he's still with ESPN. Ron Borges. He's got an even round in that fight. He's got 2 even rounds in that fight, but looks at there. 116, he's at the top there, 116, 114. Kovalev.
2 even rounds.
2 even rounds.
Yeah.
Kovalev got it pretty raw in that fight, man.
We were fuming after that, weren't we? And then obviously the rematch was it the low blows? Yeah, but some of the body work as well was fantastic by Ward. I remember dragging him back, spinning to the side and digging a right hook to the body, man. It was a fucking beautiful shot.
Oh, he did good. It was just the referee should have called time for a low blow instead of a knockdown.
Arse. Would you go away?
I think he was looking for a way out. Exactly. He was looking for a way out.
I have issues with both of them fights. I can see what you guys are saying too, but I don't think either of them were satisfactory.
Yeah, the first fight
certainly. Neither of them ended satisfactorily for me, I don't think.
Yeah,
but it was Kovalev's own fault. He was a pisshead, wasn't he, by that?
Kovalev should feel the same way about that first fight that Golovkin should feel about the first Canelo fight.
Was it the first round? It was the
second round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly think Kovalev's a wasted talent. I know people might laugh at me, think that's stupid, but he could have been an absolute monster, I think, if he hadn't got on the beer. I think he fucked his career up, I honestly
there was some actually, Steve. Was there a video going about him? It was like a top quality sparring session with Guillermo Jones up at cruiserweight.
Mm-hmm.
And people were even talking about him at that time when he was going through that reign of terror, that that power will carry up the cruiserweight.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, mate, he just, for me, the downfall started with that first defense in Russia. Was it the Chilemba fight? I think
Chilemba. Exactly.
It was then the issue started. I don't know if
he looked like shit, didn't they?
He had problems with the weight. They then blamed the media tour or the pressure and all that type of stuff. And I said it on the pod at that time. I said, look, that's just excuses, mate, for like looking like shit. And for there, it's been a steady decline, hasn't it?
Well, I think after the knockdown in the Ward fight, in the first Ward fight, once Ward had got up, he'd figured him out. So
he never landed that right hand. He never landed that right hand full extension, mate. It was a short. He didn't get the full.
But I think after that, Ward wasn't getting hit with that again, and he'd figured him out. So even though it was an ugly fight, Kovalev probably should have got the nod in the first fight. I don't think he was ever going to beat him the second time out.
Well, and I'll tell you, when you're talking about Kovalev's ability, look at the way that he toyed with Jean Pascal. Yeah, people have beaten Jean Pascal. He toyed with him. He hated that son of a bitch for some particular reason and just kept him on the hook and beat the snot out of him. Weren't there 2 fights?
Yeah, and the second one he laughed at Pascal's children and started pointing over at Pascal. There's a video on the Asylum. There's a video on the Asylum website called "Kovalev Scares Little Children" or something. That's another one that come up the other day. It's about 54 seconds. Go and find it on this one here.
Oh, that's fucking glorious.
Yeah, because he welched on the bed or something, didn't he? They had a bed on the first fight.
But it was also there was
supposed to give money to charity, Pascal, wasn't he? And he wouldn't give the money up. And then he was like, "He is a bad person. I want to punish him." So
and then obviously it was another shot that he landed. And he staggered all the way across the ring and landed in the ropes. And he started laughing at him and pointing at his corner. Look at the fucking state of this, by the way. Oh shit!
And one of the fights that we missed out on that never happened that should piss us all off is him and Adonis Stevenson.
Start of the political fucking fighting. That's what that fight was. That was the start of the HBO Showtime Al Heyman type shit, kind of like, you know, come to my side of the street. That was absolute. That's when it was kicking off basically.
It was a fantastic fight that should have been made, and it's God, who was it that beat Stevenson? Why am I struggling?
It was
Gvozdyk. I mean, and it's a shame because I really think that Kovalev, at his best, definitely had Stevenson's number. I always felt that because I just felt that he would outman him and force him back, and yeah. But I mean, you also have to, Gvozdyk. I mean, that guy was a good fighter too. Like, I struggle to think of anyone who has done better through 7-8 rounds against Beterbiev than Gvozdyk. He really.
Tony Bellew.
A lot of people were picking Gvozdyk to beat Beterbiev, though, weren't they? And Beterbiev absolutely went out and
beat him
boxed him.
It was a good 50-50 fight. Well, didn't it end 11th round?
10th, was it? I think?
Put him in the hospital for 2 days.
Yeah.
Beterbiev
was class that night. He started to outbox him as well, didn't he? It wasn't just a slugger performance. I think he looked brilliant that night.
He did.
I mean, that was a good. I think that was a pretty 50-50 fight at the time.
Yeah. It was absolutely. Yeah.
And
remember, just going back to the Kovalev fight against Ward, was that also the situation with John David Jackson, when like Andre Ward had tried to play the Jedi mind tricks and that?
That's right. Yeah.
I think he remained in the corner for the rematch, John David Jackson, but you'd imagine that would be kind of icy. You'd imagine, eh?
Oh yeah, definitely. No, there was beef between them, and he was talking about being a double agent and all this stuff, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Kovalev said some nasty shit about.
Yeah, he's a nasty bastard, isn't he? He had all sorts of issues over the years. Kovalev, even I've said it on the pod before. Even before he become famous, he had all sorts of incidents. And yeah.
See the tactical point. Does anybody think that he was a converted right-hander? Because I can remember him, like, switching a stance and throwing that left hand with his equal power as was in his right hand for time. If you look at the Silak knockout, watch his feet and watch how he kind of turns the waist over. It's like his feet are in a different position. He looks like he's squared up, but then when he does it, he's throwing the left hand. It's some power in that man.
Or he's reasonably ambidextrous because he throws that 2-1 more than anyone I've ever seen.
Well, most of the Eastern European athletes have strong gymnastic backgrounds, but as well as that, the kettlebells, so the forearms on them, like the power and the punches. Like, you ever see Golovkin's workout routine? He's basically doing like shadow boxing with
old school stuff
5 kilo kettlebells in his hands and that. Like, so.
Good point, Rob. I mean, because those guys, I mean, they all have good short power. They don't have to extend on everything. I mean, you've seen Golovkin knock out guys with full extension. You've seen him do it from 6 inches. The guy's just got huge fit. I mean, he's just got fist of fury. Same with Kovalev. Lots of good short punches in his career where that he just demolished people with.
What did we cover before I got on? Did we get to the Canelo and Golovkin thing yet, or no?
No, not yet.
No.
No.
All right, sorry,
do you even listen to the show? Do you know the order we go?
He's trying hard tonight, Matty. Come on.
I heard this the Value of the Week segment is pretty popular.
It's already banter. Noli Jr. here says, love the content, lads. You're doing an excellent job, by the way, up the Wolves. Absolutely, Noli. Can get on board with that one. One thing I was going to mention, actually, Matty, on the Showbox card, just very briefly, they had some kind of commemoration at the beginning. I don't know whether the Showbox is ending or what, or maybe it's 21 years or something since it started. And they said they've had 86 world champions who've fought on Showbox and then go on to become world champions. So 86 fighters. And the first ever Showbox fight was some 20 odd years ago. Leonard Dorin, who went on, I think, to fight Arturo Gatti against Martin O'Malley. I don't know if you caught that little segment.
The Romanian boy.
First ever Showbox fight.
I caught a little bit of that, and also what was interesting that they mentioned is one of the judges, I think it was Joe
Pasquale, the funny man,
was on. Yep, he was on. He not only did he judge a fight last night, but he did on the first Showbox card too. It's a great show that's had some excellent fights. Some excellent fighters have come up through there. And more often than not, they're really matched well. You see some guys who come in there with good records, big punchers, who end up going 8-10 rounds with another undefeated fighter, and they both go on to very good careers because they just meet that early in time, and it's one of those things that if you want to really be looking at who's going to become a contender and possibly a champion in the next 24, 36 months, you got to be watching these ShowBox cards.
Yep, I agree. Samson is matching them really well, and they seem to be repaying him with more dates, so that is good for me. Finds the fighters, and he matches them very well. Now let's see the questions. Ryan Deal turned up earlier with a super chat. He's also in the Patreon. He threw this question in earlier over at patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. What do you think about this, Andy? Would open scoring be better, giving the cards after 6 rounds? It doesn't spoil the result, but can give an indication of how the judges see the fight.
We slightly touched on it last week. I think we were kind of like broached into it at least. I'm not a big fan of it, to be fair, because if you go back to the Canelo Trout fight, it always rings in my memory that I think it was about the 8th round. They mentioned the scorecards, and Canelo was fucking country miles in front, and then he fought like he was country miles in front because he just kind of sat on the back foot and didn't kind of risk himself. And I felt that was a very, very close fight, to be fair, that Austin Trout fight. So like there is pros and cons for it. So I suppose, like, you know, if you hear that you're ahead, right, okay, then you expect the opponent to pick it up. Or in equal measure, if you're behind, you expect them to kind of come out and maybe go for a knockout. But I'm not a big fan of it, to be such, because I think it can also basically, they can just hit the fighter's mentality. I say they can maybe get safety first. And, you know, could you imagine, like, say, Oscar against Tito Trinidad being open scoring at that time? Oscar running away for the last 4 rounds, thinking he's got it in the bag. And if he knew what the scorecards was, I can guarantee he wouldn't be running about doing that for the last 4 rounds, you know. So just things like that, for example. So you like to have the wee element of surprise. So when it's like a fucking robbery, you can actually like be shocked that you. Or suppose if you know the robbery's in after 8 rounds, you can fucking say, look, these scorecards are well off here, and maybe that's when panic sets in, and you can maybe end up causing some havoc in the crowd. You just need, you know, a bit over passionate, shall we say, a bit over oiled crowd, maybe a wee bit pissed off about the scorecard, start fucking storming the place. You just never know. So I might be a wee bit dramatic with that last one, obviously, but you never know, mate.
I like where Ryan's going with that, though. With 6 rounds, so you let a fighter basically know that they don't have a chance and you need to go for the knockout.
Yeah.
But if it's a close fight, it's a close fight, and you just announce it once. If you're going to do it, I think that's the way to do it. Good.
I think that's a good
idea.
suggestion, actually. I think
Maybe,
so.
but I would prefer it. Maybe it's later in the fight, like around 8, because you're then moving into championship rounds at that point. You know, this is where this is when the rubber meets the road.
You just
then that's what they're doing now,
they
isn't it?
take the foot off the gas. If you could still, if you lose 5 out of the last 6 and you're losing the fight, you know you have to pick up a couple. That 8th round, you walk right into the problem you already described.
Take the Leonard Hagler fight then. Fucking 4-2 after 6, 5-1. I think it was 4-2. I think I had it after 6.
Think you might have stepped on the gas?
Would have had
know,
to.
mate. He would have needed to, obviously, but Leonard as well. Oh, he did what he did for the most of that. He won the fight by fighting that way, to be fair. You know, most off the back foot, shoe shining, good jabs. Hagler kind of like gave it up the first couple of rounds because obviously moving southpaw and wasn't really kind of getting his mojo going at that point. But what's this question here or this comment here, Steve?
Well, Jason Chahal says, I think the biggest issue with open scoring is the impact it has on the judges. If a judge is way off the other 2, then it might sway them to even it up. Or I suppose it could sway the other 2 to try and even it up with him.
Like the Estrada fight the other week. Exactly like that.
I don't like it altogether, to be honest. I don't think. But 6 rounds is better than 8 rounds, I think, like Ryan Deal says.
The thing is, as well, I wonder if as well if it maybe cut down on the poor scorecards as such, or maybe even some of the corrupt scorecards, Steve. Because I think I mentioned to you before about the investigation that they did into the amateur scoring scene, especially like Michael Collins' fight, how there would be like officials ringside who were like communicating with the judges with either hand signals or a tip of the cap or scratching their face or chewing gum and that. So you wonder if that, you know, I'm reading this shit and it's like, I wonder if this shit goes on in the pro scene. So if it was to maybe cut down on some of the dodgy scorecards, or maybe even focus the mind a little bit as well, shall we say, some of these judges, because how often do we see them sitting ringside think they're just fucking half sleeping? Or they don't even know what they're watching, to be fair, with some of the scorecards that they dump in sometimes.
See, what they ought to do is announce the scores after 6 rounds and then shine a spotlight on each judge as they announce it and being anonymous. So then, like, they run the risk of getting pelted with.
That's a great idea.
And Yeah, I'll keep those fuckers in line. The threats
Yeah.
of violence are sometimes the only way to go. I hate saying that, but fuck.
It's difficult, isn't it? With a subjective sport, you're never going to get 100% agreement and something that's going to sort it out. I think it's very difficult to sort it out.
Well, and to be fair, Andy and I disagreed wholly on our the way we saw the first 6 rounds of that Estrada Cortez fight. So, fair enough to that one judge who had it different and then swung it the other way. Maybe should have just kept going the way it was rather than being peer pressured into scoring him for Estrada.
Yep, exactly. Right, before we move on to the next question, quick cursory mention some of the cards next week. We're not going to go in depth in them, but I think it's worth giving them a shout out. First of all, over in South Africa, Kevin Morena is moving up to heavyweight. Naturally, he's fighting for the IBO heavyweight title against Marius Wack. Lorena once, but didn't he blame pregnancy or something for failing a drugs test? So this is quite an innovative guy, is Lorena. So good luck to him. Also on the undercard, Shafiwa Munyai. Seems like he's been around for years. I remember in icing the likes of Lee Haskins and Martin Power. Must have been back in about 2005, 2006. He's still fighting the Spider. Also, good luck to friend of the pod, Darren Betley. Gabe's favourite fighters going in a 10-rounder against undefeated Dom Hunt in the Magna Centre, Rotherham next weekend. And Zor Abdullayev, who lost to Devin Haney, beat Jorge Linares, is fighting Giovanni Straffon in Russia. Old Straffon himself next Sunday. Straffon, I think you remember, is the guy who iced James Tennyson that time. So that's an interesting
I thought it was a day,
fight.
mate.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's today. Oh,
it is today.
Sorry, has that happened then? What happened?
It might be happening right now.
It was on the RCC boxing channel, that Russian Copper Company channel on YouTube. I never saw it though, mate. It wasn't until I seen we were coming on the air that I checked the results.
Oh, very good. Yeah,
it was still to be confirmed that the results were. I assume he won though.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Sunday the 11th. Yeah, you're quite right. That's today, isn't it? So good luck to all those involved. Mr. Abdullayev, I'd say he'll probably beat Straffon. Let's move on. A few people have asked if we're going to talk about AJ Fury. We are right now. I'm going to frame it in the light of this excellent question from Top Notch. He calls himself Top Notch, and this is actually a good observation. I don't know what you boys think of it. He says, you're no doubt fed up with the AJ Fury stuff by now, but just wanted to point out something to you. Early June 2020, AJ is in the papers for making a speech in Watford, and brand AJ needed protection. Less than 1 week later, Fury comes out of nowhere and says thanks to Dan. The fight with AJ is on suddenly. It's all anyone's talking about, and brand AJ is back. 2 weeks ago, brand AJ looks dead and is in the gutter again. No Monday sermon from Eddie to Cougs can be found until this week. Who comes out and kills the embarrassing story from Saudi? Yep, Tyson Fury again, offering a 60-40 fight in November that has zero chance of happening. But the Saudi meltdown is buried, and suddenly Cougs gets his interview with Eddie, and not a mention of what AJ done in the ring after UC fight. The casual fan suddenly moves on. All bullshit. Just thought it was something you could discuss on Sunday and call out this whole thing as a farce, says Top Notch. Anybody want to take this on?
This is rubbish, but on you go, mate.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm probably going to go on from a point I've probably made over the last couple of weeks on the pod. I love Fury as a fighter, man. He's one of my favorite fighters. Called very early in his career that I thought he could go all the way. Surprised me even with his performances in the ring. So I don't want anything I say about him to take away what he is as a fighter. But as a character, I'm fucking over it, man. Like, I'm over it. He's not Mary Poppins, right? He's not giving his money to charity and all that shit. He's not retiring. He's not fucking... It's everything he says at the moment is just a charade. And, like, obviously he keeps his name out there and they get him on Talk Sport in the morning and it's big banter and everyone's a big dosser and they won't sign the contract. And I'm just fucking over it. They're not going to fight, man. Like, this fight is not... this fight is not happening. He's got the principality in Saudi booked for December for a fight with Manuel Char, right? And if that fight had been announced instead of Usyk, the stock of that fight would be dead. You wouldn't be able to sell it, right? But because he's gone out now and he's attached, they've given AJ 24 hours or something to sign the contract, and now they're putting it on ice for 10 days because to respect the Queen. Give me a fucking break. That fight's not happening. It was never happening. And if it was to happen now, yes, it's still a big fight. But what's the fucking point of it now? Like, AJ coming off 2 losses going into fight Fury. Really? Like, was that ever a realistic possibility? Eddie and all them saying, like, he needs a warm-up fight for Dillian White, but he's going to go straight in against Fury in December. Give me I don't mind anyone peeing on my leg. Don't try and tell me it's raining. He's fighting Manny Tar in December, right? And that's what's going to happen. AJ and Tyson Fury will not happen. It definitely will not happen in 2022. So spare us all this, big dosser, and sign the contract and all this shite that we have to endure. It was Derek Chisora last week. It's AJ this week. Usyk don't want it. You fight Manny Tar in Saudi Arabia for a ton of money, and that's what it is. So, I mean, if the fight ever gets signed, happy to talk about it. Up until then, I feel like I've been talking about the fucking thing for the last 5 years, and it still hasn't happened. So what's the point?
Well, one thing I was wanting to kind of throw in there, I've not really been following it as too closely, but as far as I know, Frank or somebody in Frank's side or the Fury side has sent a contract offer, or an offer at least, to Eddie and to AJ and all that type of stuff. Now, Eddie's usually quick off the fucking draw. He's usually quick on the fucking comments and the interviews and blah, 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 blah. Says he's had an offer. He's no confident it's going to go through. But if I've had the offer, what is the issue? Is it the date? Is Tyson being too unreasonable about wanting to fight? Was it early December, I think it is? Is that too soon? Eddie's wanting the 17th. I don't know what's to blame here so far. I mean, obviously, it seems an offer's been sent for the Fury camp. It's up to them to accept it now. Surely that's it, really. Surely it's up to them to accept the offer. They've got nothing else to bargain with, obviously, apart from AJ's brand as the question the comments had mentioned there. But is it just the date that's the issue? Is that all it is?
I don't know. Keep hearing it's close, don't you? And then it never is. Eddie was saying, "What do you remember? 1 week and all that, and one day and next week and
2 weeks. We had it for a fucking year, man, during the fucking lockdown. Oh, we're close. 10 days. It's 2 weeks. It's fucking this. That's that. But here we are. We're on the cusp of it again. What is this? 11th of September. 11. You're talking the best part. What, 3 months? The fight doesn't need much selling, does it? Really? I don't think. But I think personally it should be in the UK. But again, money talks, and I don't think we need to bump up the prices massively over here to get it wherever we want to hold it. Principality, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about in Wales. Matty, anything from you? What about Top Notch's comments? He makes a good case there about the kind of brand saving.
I mean, that is interesting to think that he went out there and was able to save his brand. I don't know. I think that this might sound weird. I think the Queen dying will probably do more to save AJ than anything. But I don't know. I just let me say this: in as messed up of a sport of boxing as it is, in a sport where we might not get Errol Spence against Terrence Crawford in the near future, we might not get Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. We just might end up with Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. Don't put it past this crazy sport, and don't put it past Anthony Joshua to just land some dumb, stupid punch that that just throws everything on its head.
Nah, no chance. And if
no, you're right. They're like, it's just, this isn't one like I would bet on it. I would predict it, but boxing is that dumb of a sport where shit like that happens to upset the apple cart. You know it,
sure.
Bobby. You know it.
But AJ fumbled the bag. The fight was supposed to be the biggest fight in boxing history. He fumbled the fucking bag, right? He had one job. That was to beat Andy Ruiz. We could have had this fight. He never fought Wilder. He never fought Fury. Wilder and Fury ended up fighting each other. He dropped the fucking ball again. He couldn't get over the line in the two Usyk fights. Usyk shouldn't even be in the picture. AJ and Fury was the fight to make then. Nowadays, there's 2 fucking networks involved in this as well. 3, ESPN, BT Sport, and DAZN. Are we trying to tell me that they're going to come to an agreement to have a massive pay-per-view fight with 3 networks involved, all sorted with a venue and everything in the next few weeks? I'm not happy. There's absolutely no chance.
Adam didn't seem to be too confident it was going to happen either, did he?
No, Aaron was for Aaron. Well, there's take your cue from Aaron and take your cue from what Frank Warren is saying. The Principality's booked for December. Usyk is not available until next year. AJ and Fury, and then there's 10 days that they're going to use this 10-day mourning period to say, oh look, we couldn't get it over the line, so we had to move on with Manny Char. That's exactly what's going to happen, and just spare us the side show at the theater. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this nonsense with Fury these days. It's fucking clickbait shit. Like, and it's just he's brilliant in the ring. Watch him when he's fighting. Other than that, I just turn it off or scroll upwards. Like, I can't be bothered.
There you go. Rob said the final word. Yimmy Yappy's thrown in a question. I think we'll avoid that one, though. We're not that hard up for content this weekend. Well, before Canelo Triple G, let's touch upon a few other things. Episode 491. Rob's here. Matty's here. Andy's here as well, alongside me, Steve. Over on Saturday, the 17th of September, and let me just check it hasn't happened already. Bolton White's Hotel, Gavin Gwynn, British and Commonwealth title against Craig Woodruff. I think Woodruff has been on the show in the past, actually, so good luck to him against Gavin Gwynn. Lyndon Arthur's reappeared against Walter Gabriel Sequeira. I thought Arthur was signing with Eddie, apparently not. Nathan Gorman the doorman, has got off the Weatherspoon's door to fight against TBA as well on that one. Also on Friday evening, Frank, BT Sport, Denzel Bentley, been on the pod a couple of times, going in against Marcus Morrison. British middleweight title is on the line in that one. Ellis Soro on the undercard against Dex Spellman. And Frank Arnold and the beautifully named Royston Barney Smith, sounds like a lovely chap, is on the undercard as well. We'll park that for now. Andy over in Canada next Friday evening, we're mentioning. Hopefully nobody takes the knee like our good friend Mr. Wu felt earlier on. Arslanbek Makhmudov against Carlos Takam. There could be fireworks on this card. Stephen Butler against Mark DeLuca on the undercard. You might remember kicked off back in the day. I think it's on YouTube at a Stephen Butler fight in Canada. They were having a dinner show and they all had the champagne buckets and they started lobbing the buckets in the ring. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that actually. That's a few years ago, eh?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Was that the one when the guy's getting his gloves taken off? The bucket comes across, literally misses his head by like mere millimeters.
I think
loaded
it was,
to the brim with ice and water, eh? Fucking Jesus. I can pretty rough earlier. Yeah, Makhmudov against Takam. Interesting one, I suppose. Not much kind of like going on in Canada as such, I don't think, apart from that card last week or last night even. This is actually Takam's first fight since the Joe Joyce defeat, actually, to be fair. And I've mentioned this before, even though Makhmudov, I think, is straight up and down, no special effects, possible knockout waiting to happen. I know this is on Matty's prediction league as well. I'm going to say Makhmudov stops him around about the mid rounds. I just think he is a big puncher. But if you look at his career over the last 3-4 years, he's been feasting on guys like this, smaller dudes, past their prime, maybe come up for the payday, maybe just got enough name value on them to kind of keep himself relevant. And I think this is one of these situations. So I think Takam, what is he as well? He's must be in his 40s now anyway. Hasn't really kind of done anything, shall we say, great shakes over the last couple of fights. I think the last time he actually even came up, Trump's actually in a decent fight. Beat off Joshua, beat off Chisora. I think they were both stoppages, I think it was. I think even Parker beat him as well. So clearly a guy who just gets a certain level, just kind of get above it. But so it's probably a kind of like last fucking hurrah for him as well. Belt on the line, so there's going to be some sort of ranking points possibly. But I think Makhmudov is pretty guaranteed to be the winner here. As I say, 6-7 round stoppage.
Yeah, I agree, Matty, for what it's worth. I think Makhmudov, 14 knockouts, the Lion. He's a big unit. He can punch and he gets rid of these guys, the likes of Tepper, Dylan Carmen, the fellow last time, Marius Wack. Usually tough guys. I know they're past their peak, but Takam's starting to show a few dents in the chin now. Joyce got rid of him. Chisora got rid of him. I think Makhmudov is going to be the next one as well. He's a big banger. I'm going for Makhmudov KO as well, Matty.
All right. You thinking early or late? We might be doing this as an over-under.
I think he might get rid of him in about 5 rounds.
That's about what Andy said. Rob, what are you thinking?
I say 6 or 7. You've got me thinking if you're going to go the over-under route. Like.
Yeah, so I'll average it out.
Over-under, are we?
Do you think Makhmudov is going to win by stoppage?
Yeah.
What round are you thinking, Ish?
8.
8? Ooh. Steve, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go for 5.
Yeah, and isn't that when Joyce stopped Takam? Wasn't that 5th, 6th?
6th, I think. Joyce stopped him in the 6th, I think, and Chisora stopped him in the 8th. Joshua stopped him in the 10th, so it's going to be the 4th. And if we're following the numericals down, But I think ESPN is going to be wanting to impress. I think he's going to put the foot on the gas.
If he wants to push him, if he's going to push him back, and he's going to do and play the role of the big man like Joyce did. I mean, you got to think that Takam is just getting slower and slower with each passing fight, right? So I'd be thinking probably around the 5th two. The other guys were a little bit higher. So let's set the over under. Andy said 7. So let's set this one at 6.5 rounds. So that would put it.
I'll go 6.5 then.
Oh, over or under?
Over.
Over. Okay. Steve.
So if I say 5, so I'm under, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Rob, over under?
Well, Rob will be over because he's 8.
Okay.
8, yeah. Over.
Yep. All right. And I am going under.
Or under.
All right.
No, I'm joking. 8.
Don't you start.
All right. Yeah, you and Rob are tied right now, so
It's going to copy out Steve's prediction, so there's no more points between us.
All right. Cool. So yeah, it'll be interesting on that one, kind of where we average it out there. So kind of where we are, about 6.5. So keep you guys, again, we've been doing pretty good at setting the lines on these ones in general. So if you see way under that 6.5, way over that 6.5, snag the action, because we've been doing pretty good when we set these.
Mm-hmm. And as for the other fights, MB made a good point there. He said that the British fights will probably all be cancelled. I hope this isn't going to carry on, and after next weekend, this is the end of this nonsense, and we can just get back to normal. But didn't you say one of your other fights was a British fight, Matty, on the league?
No, that one's going to be on the Canelo undercard.
Oh, right, okay. So we can get to that. And then what was? Sorry, I'm just looking at this on the fly. And then Canelo itself, right? Okay,
Yep.
So we're all good. So we got Matt Mudov for now. That's the only one for now, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, excellent. Right, we'll move on. Might as well just move on. Canelo Triple G. We did have a question from Simon Alevy. I think I am going to leave that for next week. What else have we got here? What's Wellings doing? Wellings getting pelters in the chat. I just have to leave that alone, otherwise I'm going to get distracted here. Okay, then. So let's get on to the big fight for next weekend then. Canelo against Triple G3. It's the one we've all been waiting for. We'd love to see Spence Crawford myself, but this will do to lead us to the year. Alvarez against Golovkin. Let's have a look at the undercard first of all, then, shall we? Actually, before we got to the main event, Jesse Rodriguez Franco is going in against Israel Gonzalez. That's BAM, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Ali Akhmedov against Gabriel Rosado, who can pull a surprise out. Austin Amo Williams, who looked really good against Chordale Booker. He's going in against Kieran Conway. Diego Pacheco against Enrico Collazo. That's not a bad undercard, to be honest with you, Andy.
Yeah, it's okay, I suppose, for Eddie, for a change. Just going to pull it up here, actually.
Better give me a fucking decent undercard for $85.
Yeah, Mark Castro, Diego Pacheco, seen him a couple of times, haven't we? Kind of highly ranked youngsters coming up. Ali Akhmedov, that's the one that got beat off Congora, was it? I think it was. Gabe Rosado.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, I suppose, that fight. Again, the Gabe keeper he'll keep it, probably go the distance, I suppose. He'll keep it narrow in the cards. Akhmedov is obviously shown he can be hurt late. So again, if fucking Rosado can land one of those right hands like he did on Beck the Bully, then I wouldn't be too quick to write him off, to be fair. But you have to wonder as well, how long he's going to keep going for and pick up these paychecks and proper up cards.
Jesse lost to Shane Mosley Jr.
Well, he's lost his last two fights, mate. Who was the last one? Jaime Munguia, I think it was.
It might have been that one in between. Yeah.
And the guy that Rodriguez is fighting, I think he's been a distance with Gonzalez. I think he's been in Cajas and a few other kind of top end guys running about light flying flyweight.
And Cajas stopped him, and I'm trying to remember. I think that might have been a really good fight. I'm trying to place it, but I think that fight with Cajas might have been a quality scrap for some reason.
Yeah. Fancy Rodriguez to stop him. Maybe late. He's been on obviously this great run over the course of this year, and that'll be 3 fights this year. So, that's what you want. Your champions to be active. 3 fights, beat Quadras, beat Rungvisai. Now he's going to fight another world champion challenger. So, yeah, I fancy him to do it. Roughly with the 8th or 9th, possibly. And obviously the main event, which I don't know if you want to segue into it, Steve. Look, I've got to lay my cards on the table here, to be fair. Not entirely looking forward to it, to be fair. I think we've seen that show once too often. I think if we go off Golovkin's last fight, which I watched a few weeks back actually against Murata, maybe slightly better than what I gave him credit for, but I still go back. He looked puffy. He looked like he maybe had a bad weight cut as well, to be fair. So looked old, took a wee bit too many shots early doors, but obviously the power, the experience shone through in the end. Granite chin. You just wonder as well where Canelo's at. He seems to be taking this far too personally, but I don't think that's going to be a major issue. I think it will be somewhat semi-competitive, but I think Canelo will probably win it more convincingly this time for some reason. I just think he's slightly more fresher, probably more at his weight as well. And Golovkin, I just think he's sat out too long, too many camps. Still, you know what I'm saying? Was he 40 now? Loads of mileage on that clock. But if the power's still there, if he can get it off, just maybe he can maybe turn it back a wee bit. But I've got my doubts a wee bit, to be fair.
Well, I was asking in the Nutters chat, Matty, and I've got a few comments from the boys, so I'm going to ask you to entertain these one by one as talking points. So Hattam says, Matty, Golovkin won't get stopped. He will get schooled unless Canelo has PTSD from his bivel whooping. Feel free to quote me.
Well, Steve, I think that might be a good time to come in here and kind of just break down the way that the betting odds are. I like these big fights because they kind of give you a little bit of extra information a little further out from the fight. Right now, Canelo to win, where I was looking, is minus 500 as a favorite. GGG is playing plus 340, and that's moved wider in Canelo's favor in the recent weeks. Canelo by stoppage paying plus 150 on points, plus 105. Golovkin by stoppage plus 850 on points at plus 650. The over-under on rounds is 10.5 at a minus 190 over. The under playing plus 150. The most likely stoppage rounds for Canelo, 7 through 9, paying plus 475. But the most likely outcome, either fighter by decision, minus 150. With rounds 7 through 12 paying only plus 210. So they're thinking it's going rounds. And I'll tell you what, I think if we might be thinking Golovkin gets stopped a little too easily. Yes, I know that he's shown some vulnerabilities against Derevyanchenko and he took some bad shots against Murata. But I mean, he ultimately prevailed in those fights. Maybe he shouldn't have in the Derevyanchenko fight. There was an argument there, but he did pretty damn well in the second fight in the later rounds against Canelo. Steve, I think saying this fight doesn't at least go the distance, we might be shortchanging the guy.
Might be indeed. Ben Rob has said, my initial thoughts are he's 0-2 still against Triple G. Canelo, he will win by points at super middleweight though, and even if he loses, he will still get it. Well, this is the feeling. If Triple G can't get the win against Canelo 5 years ago when they're in and around their peak, at 40 years of age and up at a new weight, sure as hell I don't think he's going to get the verdict, even if he does enough, Rob. What do you think, Rob?
Sorry, I was drifting there. What was the question, Steve? Sorry.
And people accuse me of hitting the bong, Steve.
That was a heavy drag, mate. What are you saying, Steve? What are you saying?
No, I was saying that if Triple G can't get the win against Canelo 5 years ago in his prime, he sure as hell ain't going to get it now.
Cookie dude.
Yeah, no. I think you're onto something. Look, we kind of forget with time. It's funny. I was thinking about this in the run up to predicting this fight. At the time, I remember the night after the first fight, and we were all raging, right? Rightfully so, and the whole boxing community was raging. And then it seems like, I don't know if it's PR damage control on the side of Canelo, but somehow he's after coming out of all this looking like the good guy. Obviously he has no say in what the judges do. The judges give him the decision. It was a fucking gift. There's no way on God's green earth that he had 7 rounds in that first fight. You just cannot find him anywhere in the fight for him. Not even 7 rounds where he's even had a shot at winning. He had moments of success in the first fight. I'm not going to say he got completely smashed to bits. He was hanging in there, but the fight was an absolute highway robbery. He then pops. Right, so the second fight gets put off, and Golovkin has to go fight another opponent while Canelo is serving his ban or whatever, or his retrospective order. whatever, they did a B sample and it turned out that he was exonerated or whatever the fuck excuse they gave. But Golovkin came out then with the kind of nasty stuff in the run up to the second fight that, there was needle marks in his ribs and that at the weigh in, doctor friends, and when he was speaking in his own native language, he was being a bit more scathing. And then the second fight, I thought Canelo won at 7-5. Right, I give it to him fair and square. A lot of people still think Golovkin won the second fight. It was more competitive, and I thought Canelo held the center of the ring a little bit more and was a little bit sharper with his combinations in the early stretch of the fight. But still could understand people giving Golovkin a fight. But I think even Abel knew he was losing the fight, I think, the second time. And that was the end of him and Abel's relationship. But yeah, just to kind of reinforce what you said, if there's no way that he's going to get a decision against him after clearly beating the shit out of him in the first fight, there's absolutely no hope. And he's regressed since then as well. Golovkin, we can't overlook that. He looked like shit for a couple of rounds against Murata in the first 3 to 4 rounds while he got his feet. He's up at 68, which is never his best weight. I mean, I think in his prime he probably could have campaigned at 54 if he wanted to, Golovkin. And I feel sorry for him, and I know he's getting a massive payday, but like, he should have had his moment. So whatever says, if these two are to fight each other 3 times and they have their trilogy, he should have had one win on the record. He's never going to get it at this stage. Would I absolutely love if he pulled out a knockout here and flattened Canelo? I actually would. I'd love it.
It'd be brilliant.
It'd be brilliant. He would get his just due. He gets a lot of criticism, Golovkin. People say, he beat up welterweights. I think it's clear as day that he was one of the most avoided fighters that we've had in the modern era. I don't think anybody wanted to fight him. Ward was willing to fight him or whatever at a catchweight or come down or get him to come up. But he was the only one really seemingly calling him out. Everybody else was ducking him. And Gandhi Lee signed to fight him at the height of his power, and then Golovkin's father died and that fight was called off. But other than that, Miguel Cotto didn't want to fight him. Sergio Martinez didn't want to fight him. Canelo threw the belt in the bin at one stage, didn't he, rather than fucking defend him against...
Sturm ducked him.
Yeah, so like lots of people ducked him, and he was left with the likes of these guys. What was that Australian fella he nearly killed?
Daniel Gale.
He was left with Gale and Macklin, and the guys that were capable. Rosado, goodbyes that were capable, but they weren't able to give him like any kind of serious competition. And then he was just gone that little bit beyond his peak. Then by the time the Canelo rematch came along, he had Danny Williams and that. And there were signs of regression and signs like we're talking at the height of Golovkin's powers. You're going back 10 years ago to when he was the scariest man in the division. It's a long time ago when he was at the top of his game. And Canelo's been getting better, getting sharper, getting more super strength out of somewhere. He's growing in stature and size and in stature in the sport.
Growing in confidence.
I don't fucking
growing
care.
in confidence mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no fucking chance for Golovkin. You'd have to see that Golovkin has a very slim chance in this fight. I always said that I thought Canelo would actually stop him in the third fight, and that's going back maybe. I think we were talking about this during the height of the pandemic. It was one of the fucking fantasy fights we were talking about. I said at the time I didn't want to see it, and I thought Canelo would stop him. Now that there's fucking prediction league points on the line, I'm not as hasty to jump for the stoppage. But I think it'll be a wide. I think it'll be Canelo wide. But I would absolutely love to see Golovkin knock him out. Love it.
Yeah,
Kevin Keegan style.
I
fucking love it if we bait him.
Love it if we beat them now.
I mean, there's something about like when you're trying to identify fighters, it's not that they win, it's how they win. And I think a good case in point, if you're trying to say like how good was Golovkin, how hard did he punch, like you remember the beard that Ishida had on him. I mean, I think he ended up fighting at heavyweight. I think he might have won the Japanese heavyweight title for some reason. And Golovkin fucking demolished that guy in like 3 rounds, wasn't it?
Put him on a fucking stretcher, mate.
I mean, he knocked him out of the ring in Monaco, right? Which, very rich country, a good place to get medical care. But I mean, he was just wrecking these guys. And he truly special fighter, absolutely ducked. And in a perfect world where fairy tale endings happen, he would justly get a W over Canelo out of the 3 fights that they fought. But man, it's really hard to say that he will. So,
and point that one. Sorry, mate, when you go.
No, I was going to say here, John O'Donovan on the he makes an interesting point. He says, might be more hope than anything because I'd love it if it was competitive. But is there any credence to the thought Canelo might be slipping himself? Boxing News podcast mentioned it after the Bivol fight. The fact he didn't look great against Plant either.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned by saying good point there. Actually, I was going to bring up that comment there. It is a fair point. Obviously, Canelo has been fighting pro since he was 15, I believe. He's had just shy of 60 fights as a pro. Not sure about his amateur career as such, but again, training, sparring. He seems
golfing.
To love the game. What's this? I was going to bring this up actually because, from what I understand, he spends at the best part 2, 3, 4 hours a day on the fucking golf course, and he's meant to be pretty good at it. So, he's made his money, hundreds of millions of dollars, pesos. 32-year-old, multiple world titles. Is the hunger still there? And I take the point. He had no answers for Bivol. He was slightly behind, I think, on the cards against Kovalev. Maybe just a bigger guy. He couldn't do nothing with it. And there has been moments of fights where it's either close in the cards or he gets outboxed, and he's kind of we've seen him, like, for example, I thought he maybe lost to Trout possibly. Mentioned the Golovkin fight obviously as well. Especially the first fight. He's been in distance with Cotto. Again, smaller dude, but the Austin Trout fight especially, that was far closer than what one of the scorecards were. I think it was like 119, something like that for Canelo, which we're discussing. The Mayweather fight, again, outboxed. So it could be just doing that. He kind of struggles with movers. Golovkin's not really kind of, he's not got the feet as such. He doesn't move side to side. He doesn't kind of bounce on his tiptoes, moving back in and out. He's kind of like flat-footed, kind of seeks and destroys. But I do take John's point. I think it's decent to say at this point, is it potentially he's now beginning to slip himself? I think it is a fair point. Maybe I wounn't say he's maybe not at his peak anymore, because if you're weight hopping between light heavy and 68, that takes a toll as well. But again, he's had a new baby recently. I think in the last couple of years. As I mentioned, he's got married. He seems to be enjoying himself a wee bit more, kind of like, getting pissed up by like Max Verstappen, having, let's go jabronis, let's fucking party. So he's enjoying the fruits of his labour. He's fucking deserved it. And as we mentioned, the golf course, how do we not know he's picking up injuries? It takes a lot of twist on the knees and then the lower back. Might pick up a wee injury here or there and that. So yeah, it's a very valid point. But I still think with Golovkin at this stage in his career, I still think Canelo will look far better than what he has done, certainly in his last fight at least. Maybe even the Khalid Plant fight, which I think John's even referencing there as well.
Yeah. Yumi Yappy says about Triple G taking the knee. I think he is a proud, strong man. And I'd be surprised if he will really bite down on his gum shield. It would take a lot, even at this stage of his career, to stop him.
You'd have to consider him getting stopped on his feet then.
Well, what I was going to say is, mate, if he's taking a knee, then it's got to be for brutal body shots, because...
Sorry, Andy.
It's like the opposite of the guys in the fucking 72.
Fucking hell, there he is.
78,
but I just...
It's like Jota's celebration last week. Didn't
have the fucking black hand, though. I was going to say, at this point, though, if you look at Canelo, Golovkin in his last fight, where he's looking kind of like bloated with the weight cut, the rehydration on top of it, he looked like he was taking some of those body shots from Marat, and he looked like he was breathing a wee bit heavy and as well, sucking in the air a wee bit. You just wonder if Canelo can land something, or sustain something at least to his body attacks. If he finishes combination with a left hook to the body, it might end up taking something out of him a wee bit. But I agree with you, Steve. I think there's fucking pride, there's honour involved with this one, like the sounds of it. Golovkin's not been shy of talking some shit as well. Bringing up the fucking failed drugs test, talking about the judges again, that type of stuff. So he's got a wee bit to be aggrieved about as well, actually, because you need to remember, he was the one that fucking fought Canelo at the time with the fucking failed drugs test as well afterwards. So it cops it into question, especially the judges as well,
Well, as I always say, Andy, the truth is found out in the ring, and this is another perfect example when we'll see it. But the way people project their own thoughts onto things, and they kind of convince you. I was listening to someone talking about it on another podcast the other day, and he was like making a good case about the Murata fight. He was like, Golovkin was out for a long time before that at a different weight. Once he shook the rust, and he got caught cold early on by a big puncher in Murata, caught him with some body shots. What did Golovkin do? He didn't fold. He didn't get stopped. He came back once he shook the rust off and stopped Murata. And I think it kind of makes a good point, mate. Maybe Golovkin hasn't slipped as much. You know what I mean?
Exactly, mate. As I say, and that was at middleweight, actually, I believe, was it not? The
Oh,
fight
yeah, sorry,
against
yeah.
We
Marat.
haven't even touched on this fight being at 168, Steve. I mean, that's
You got to factor in it's going to be better for Golovkin. I think 168. He spent an entire professional career basically at 160. Maybe a couple of catch weights here or there.
Wasn't his amateur weight around there? Whatever weight they have,
Yeah,
it's like 162
fought
or
like
something like that.
middleweight, I think, is an
165.
amateur. Yeah, I think so.
Matty, there's another one from Matthew Kemp. These are from the Boxing Nutters chat. If you want to join the community, come over to our Boxing Asylum Patreon page. Matthew Kemp, Matty says, Canelo obviously the favourite for good reasons, but think Golovkin is being underrated. Sometimes great boxers have one last great performance in them. The first two fights were very close regardless of what the judges said, and there are plenty of miles on Canelo's clock.
There are. I mean, and he's been going a lot of rounds, even when he's been getting the stoppages. The Bivol fight, I mean, it might have affected it. I mean, there were some weird things he did in that fight, Steve. Like, do you remember when, like, there would be times when, like, Bivol would land, 2 or 3 of a little combination and then back out, and then for like 3 or 4 seconds afterwards, Canelo was still moving his head, even though
as if he'd slipped him. I know he's a sly bastard, isn't he?
Yeah. Even though like Bivol's like on the other side of the ring, like what the fuck are you moving on, dude? And it's and I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that he did take that loss seriously, in the sense that he still can't convince himself that he lost. And there's some fighters where that results in a positive, like Deontay Wilder. Even though he didn't beat Fury in the third fight, everybody thought he was going to get wiped out early. And that was definitely not the story of the fight. So the question is that stubbornness going to be a positive or a negative for Canelo? And I think that's for each of us to weigh. But as much as Golovkin might be, almost done with the sport with one foot out because of his age, Canelo might have one foot out of the sport based on interest.
Thing is, just before we bring Rob back in, Matty, the Bivol fight, I don't really put much stock in the Bivol fight for a number of reasons. Of course, it was at a different weight. Bivol was a lot taller and stronger than people thought. He could sustain the attacks too. He was throwing those bursts, those flurries at Canelo. And Canelo, it was like an unknown quantity. He's got 24 rounds with Golovkin. I don't think Golovkin can sustain those kind of attacks that Bivol could. And it was like Canelo was trying to learn on the job almost. After 7-8 rounds, he was like, shit, what can I do with this guy? I've never faced this before. I wasn't expecting this. And it was an unknown quantity thing. Whereas with Golovkin, he can't sustain that, and he hasn't got that kind of factor as well. So I don't put much stock in the Bivol fight.
Yeah, I do, and I don't. I can definitely see where you're coming from, because based on dimensions, you don't know that, and footwork too. You don't know that Golovkin can necessarily pull that off, especially at like 40 or 41 years old, whatever he's going to be for this fight. But I also wonder, because we used to see Golovkin throw a lot more punches and with a little bit more snap, but power's the last thing to go. So was what we were seeing at 160 with the reduction in those abilities, was it because of age, or was it because of weight? And I think we're going to find that out. If he's going to be more comfortable at 168, and if there's going to be a little bit more snap on his punches, Canelo could find himself surprised, especially if he's mentally convinced himself that this is going to be a lesser version of Golovkin. If for some reason he doesn't prepare the same way that he did for the first 2 fights, LOL, he might find himself in trouble by a guy who's really hungry and a guy who really wants revenge.
Michael Thompson picks up on a point. Triple G was looking pretty good on that recent Teddy Atlas interview. Maybe the extra 8 pounds has helped him out a bit. The thing is, Rob, stylistically, a lot of people are saying about Canelo going to the body based on Murata, based on Golovkin's age. I think Golovkin's also got to try and go to the body as much as he can. Now, obviously, he's the slower man on the inside, so that's going to present problems for him. But Canelo's no Vasily Durov when it comes to punch output, and I think Golovkin's got to target that body as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, I could see it definitely. I think Canelo's more comfortable at 68, as a fella who's been able to miraculously go up to 68, 75, frequently over the last couple of years, jump from 60 to 75 to 68 all over the gaff. Like, I actually think the weight's going to suit Canelo a little bit more. I think the weight's too high for Golovkin at this stage of his career. And I don't want to make too much of like Golovkin's regression, because it's not like he's a sharp fighter by any means. He's still very capable. But for me, since the second Canelo fight, and maybe since the first since the Danny Williams fight, actually, there was Devrichenko in there as well. Gave him that took a lot out of him. I think Maratza was giving him a fits at the start in the first fight, and even though he beat Canelo to the dogs in the street in the first fight, over the 24 rounds, he never really hurt him. I think there was a stage in the first fight where Canelo looked like he may get stopped just off kind of activity from Golovkin, and that he was like coming into deep waters with his breathing and that, and it was looking like maybe the tide was turning towards a stoppage, but he never really fucking stunned him, hurt him. Canelo's got a good beard. Now, having said that, Canelo was obviously juiced to the fucking gills in the first fight, wasn't he? Like, so he got some superhuman strength and recovery powers, which makes it worse. That Golovkin didn't get his
neck it had as well, mate. His fucking head was huge.
Rob, which fight was it? Was it the 10th round? Was that the second fight when I thought Canelo was hurt badly? Was that the first or the second?
First,
no, not badly, but was it the first? Right. Okay.
Yeah, that was the first one. Well, mate, he had spells of success down the stretch. I think Golovkin in the second fight, he fought. He left it too late, maybe in the second fight.
I hope he goes balls out, Rob. If he gets to 9-10, I think I want Golovkin to just go balls to the wall and just throw everything at the kitchen sink.
Yeah, I think he has to. I think he has to fight differently. I think that, all said and done, should have won the first fight. For me, he didn't win the second fight fair and square. Well, fair and square in terms of fucking how you judge fair and square, but he didn't win the second fight. I thought Canelo did enough to win it. But over those 24 rounds, I don't think Canelo looked in danger of getting iced or knocked out or one punch knocked out like, old style Golovkin. So at 68, older, visibly slower, I just can't see anything but a one-sided Canelo win, and I really, really wish I'm wrong. I hope Triple G has his moment, and Canelo's been living with a lot of pressure, right? So if he takes, he's carrying the DAZN network on his back. If he takes another L, just come out and fucking say that you've been dealing with pressure and you can go on a world tour. You know what I mean? Be active. The pressure's off now. You're not the champion anymore. This is the model that we're going on now in DAZN pay-per-view. So we'll have fellas who are not the champion, but they're nice fellas who are dealing with pressure and going to fight all over the world. So who doesn't want to see that? I know I do. Come to Wexford, maybe get him some Mexican meat.
Exactly. We'll not go too depth on this because we've already discussed most of the points, but good point from Patrick before I hand back to Matty for the predictions. Everyone to get their predictions thrown in. Can't see the guy getting KO'd. Me and Andy were talking about that as well. And if Triple G can maintain a high work rate and Canelo sticks with his new low output style, can see another close, perhaps controversial decision. I can see what Patrick's saying, and I think the fight will go exactly that way to a point, but the close decision will go to Canelo. I can see like a 116, 112. As I said before, like a broken record, if Golovkin couldn't get the win off him 5 years ago and then 4 years ago, he's going to be really hard pressed to get it now unless it's by some kind of knockout. But I don't see the guy getting KO'd. I really don't see Golovkin getting KO'd. I think at times he'll probably get hurt to the body and he'll be struggling. He'll be really biting on his gum shield and he might even get hurt to the head. Who knows? But I was really surprised if he got KO'd. And Canelo's going to be juiced up to the gills. But if he gets his win, then we'll give him his prop. I am going, Matty. Handy back to you. I'll go. Do you want me to go first? Sorry, just before I say anything.
With you and Rob tied, I kind of want to go to Rob first, just to give you a break.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm going Canelo decision.
Canelo on points.
Yeah, me too. Boring as it is. Yeah, Canelo points. I think.
Me 3.
And that's the way I'm going too, guys. So let's switch this up. And this is going to be a little bit funky, and I'll do the math and I'll do the rounding. But what's going to be the average scorecard between the 3 judges?
If we're not giving out points for fucking. How are we supposed to guess what the fucking judges are going to do? One of them is going to give a fucking draw.
I literally won a signed picture from Edwin Rodriguez for predicting the cards dead on for Juan Manuel Marquez, Tim Bradley, split decision and all. So fuck you, Rob.
Fucking, I feel like Alex going down the rabbit hole.
All 3 of the scorecards. So fuck you, Rob. What's going to be the average scorecards?
115, 113.
Ooh,
All right.
116, 112, I was going to say.
Sorry, I meant. Sorry. It'll be wider. Sorry, I thought it'll be wider for Canelo. I think it's going to be, 116, 112, 117, 111, but they won't reflect how close the fight is. You know
So
that way.
you want 117,
He's
111,
right. I
or
agree that.
116,
I agree with that.
112?
I'm going to go 117, 111.
Okay. Andy.
Probably like 120, 108.
Really?
Get what these judges are like, mate.
Andy, look at Alvarez against Bivol. You're absolutely right. I mean, fucking Alvarez lost that 10-2, and they still contrived to almost get the round away from the draw. You're 100% right.
So I would not be anywhere shape, shop, or wide for Canelo. As Steve says, I just pulled up the scorecard: 115, 113 across the board against Bivol. Fucking, it was as close to, like as Steve says, maybe even a 12-0 rather.
That was not a close fight. That was not
fucking.
A close
it was easy work, mate. Easy work.
And I'll tell you what, I'm going on the other side of it. I'm going to go 115, 113 is going to be the average card on this one. And like I said, I'll just take them and I'll round them and I'll round up correctly and round down as we typically do. And whoever's closest gets a point. That's interesting. Just remember.
Do you think, Matty, that the judges will do that thing of kind of squaring it up so they don't be too controversial, so they're kind of keeping with each other's remit? You know, the way they do that in Las Vegas, I think they give rounds here and there to make sure it looks more plausible.
That might be the case, especially considering that 118, 110
Yeah,
card
so
that is always going to haunt the trilogy, right? But I'll tell you what, guys. One question I want to ask before there, we had one more fight on that card to predict, but before we go on, I can only think of one example. When we think of like top level fighters who ended up with a trilogy between them, or even more, but let's stick kind of the trilogies. You really can't think in those three fights of where one of where the third fight was absolute crap, other than like Duran and Leonard, right? I mean, give me another example.
Well, you could maybe. What about Ruiz against Holyfield, the third fight?
Any fight with John Ruiz, I don't give a fuck.
Don't make us go back there, Andy.
Or 2 or 1.
I'm still therapy for that fucking fight, mate.
But I mean, and John Ruiz isn't a top level fighter. I mean, you know, and that was end of Holyfield. So I mean, you got to think like, you know, the greats when they were fighting. You know, like all the fights between Bo and Holyfield were good. I think the third one may be a little bit lesser so, if I recall, but still good.
Holyfield said, didn't he have the blood thing in the third one?
Have a heart attack or something like that, no?
Or the heart or something.
Wasn't that the one right before he got the hole in the heart diagnosis?
He got face planted.
Yeah.
That's what the third fight was when he spoke about it. He's been cleared by some witch doctor or something.
Yeah, that's right. Blaming anemia or something. I can't remember.
I don't know. I think a lot of the people, I think that we were wrong in thinking that, because I mean, I remember us talking 6 months ago. I probably pre-Bivol fight, and thinking that Canelo was going to knock out Golovkin, and now here we are, all of us going decision, some wider than others, but I think it shows where things have moved a little bit. You know,
yeah. If I recall, quite a few years maybe I've kind of thought if Golovkin had fought Canelo the night that he fought Murata. I think we're kind of like the opinion that maybe Canelo maybe have stopped him because he was sucking it in, he was feeling it. But Steve says he's starting to kind of grow into the fight, especially the latter half before the stoppage. At least he let the hands go, bring that kind of like looping right hand he does over the top. So yeah, but again,
he does have to make tactical changes, and this will be the first fight that he has with Canelo without Abel Sanchez in his corner. I kind of think if there's one thing that when I went back and I watched the second fight, if I wish that he had done those times where he got Canelo into a defensive posture and decided to headhunt, if he had gone to the body instead, I think he would have, number one, slowed down Canelo a little bit, and number two, possibly opened up some more shots up top. So if he does get Canelo in a defensive posture, he has to go to the body. I think he has to take those chances
And
where
then
Canelo's not throwing and work it.
I agree. Body first and then straight up to the head. But I don't know if Abel Sanchez and all that will make much difference. It's a cliche. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. What's he going to do much differently from what he's already done? Not very much, I don't think. And I'd be interested to know who the referee is. Rob was mentioning it there in the private chat. Very good point. I hope he's not fucking Tony Weeks. I'll tell you that for certain, because I can't stand him. I don't know who the referee is.
Yeah, I don't know who it is too, and I guess I think that's a reasonable question when it comes to these fights in Vegas, and and that's the thing where I think you're right, Steve, is this fight's going to be close.
Details here.
This fight's going to be close come hell or high water, man, and it's not going to go Golovkin's way if that's the case, right?
Just reading this boxing scene article, the Nevada State Athletic Commission has approved Nevada's Dave Moretti and New Jersey's Steve Weisfeld to score the third grudge match September 17th in Las Vegas. The commission has also assigned Oklahoma's Dave Sutherland to the judgment panel and Nevada's Russell Mora Jr. as a referee for the super middleweight.
Low blows will be all right then.
Yeah. Russell Mora.
We needed Steve Willis, man. I wanted to see some face effects.
Russell Mora, I think, has he been involved in anything controversial? I think he has, maybe.
Well, he was the low blow. Yeah, at this point, once you've been in that many high-profile fights, I think it's much of a muchness.
Yeah, but
he was the Abner Mares judge, wasn't he, when he was punching the shit out of Albeco? Am I right in saying that, or was that Lawrence Cole?
Do you guys remember? Because don't make me lose this. Because I'm actually thinking, has Harvey? Do you remember anything controversial with Harvey Dock? Like, I actually think the guy might be killing it.
Yeah, no, he's a New York ref, isn't he? They don't usually bring him to Vegas.
I know, but it just made me think. Like, I think Harvey Dock is killing it, and we never give him any credit.
It was Mares Beko fight that I'm thinking about. Russell Mora.
That is Mora. Yeah, I couldn't remember whether it was Mora or Lawrence Cole. Right? Okay. No, Doc's a good ref, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all right.
I think.
Yeah,
I like him. I'm a big fan of.
Who's under? No, you go.
No, I'm a big fan of that ref. The California ref had done the Fury Wilder fight. Jack Reese. No bullshit with that guy. Gives you every chance as well, I think.
I think so. I think sometimes, though, I don't know, he's a bit over dramatic sometimes, I think, and there's a bit of shy in him. But no, I think at this stage they've all got their own personalities and they've all made mistakes and all that, so you can't really split them. I think that was a good discussion. Yeah. Go on, Matty.
We got one more fight for the prediction. We got each of these, just kind of worth a point one kind of things. There's an interesting fight on the undercard on there, and it's a little bit under the radar, and that's Austin Williams versus Kieran Conway. And I only say that Austin Williams is a puncher, undefeated, 11-0, 9 knockouts. The guy can clearly bang. Conway is only lost by split decision
against Sissoko.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that card, though. I think Sissoko won that fight wide.
Might have been the case, but then there was also I think a prize fight or something. He had a 3-round split on there, and damned if I could ever think of what the heck that fight was. And I think the curiosity on this one, we might all be going with Williams, but the question is Conway going to go the distance? I mean, he's obviously at the very least durable. He's fought a reasonable level of competition, a couple of blemishes, but a good looking record. He's just not a puncher.
No, Conway always finds his way onto these shows, doesn't he, for some reason? Against Sissoko, I think, didn't he put Sissoko down at some point? But apart from that, I thought Sissoko was bossing the fight, so he seems to find his way on. As for Williams, I thought he was a bit of a novelty act. I was talking to him with Ames about him before, but apparently not. He does have amateur pedigree, and his last win was really impressive against Chordale Booker, who's no mug, and he banged him out in a round. So I'm going to lean to the fact that I think Williams might catch Conway at some point. I don't know whether to go for points or stoppage. I suppose, do I have to pick now?
Yes.
See, I'm leaning towards stoppage because Williams is a puncher, but Conway's tough enough. He can hang in there. I think he might get to points. So, fuck it. I'll go for it. I'll go for Ammo Williams by stoppage. But it'll be a statement if he manages to do it. And it's only a 10 round as well. I'll go stoppage for Williams.
All right. Rob, what do you think?
Who's fighting? Danny Williams is fighting someone again, is he? What's going on?
Austin Williams and Kieran Conway.
I'm going to go for Kieran Conway by decision.
Really?
Yeah.
Over the undefeated knockout artist.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, he sounds Irish, don't he? Kieran Conway. Like, I kind of, I don't want to root against him, you know that way.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I haven't a fucking clue. I don't know. I have never seen either of these two fights, so I couldn't tell you.
Conway's a non-puncher, Rob, from the DAZN kind of domestic scene. Williams is a bit of an unknown quantity, but he can bang.
Obviously, Williams is the favourite then by knockout. I'm going to go knockout on the under.
Williams knockout?
On the under.
You saved your adversary in the league there, Steve. Well, maybe.
I think he was fairly certain I wasn't giving a fucking serious answer there.
Hopefully, but watch Conway fucking end up gutting out a fucking weird decision. Andy,
Conway the machine.
Stoppage or decision?
Yeah, stoppage on the under.
I got you, Andy.
What fight? So I popped away there briefly, mate. What's the fight we're talking about?
Austin Williams versus Kieran Conway. Jesus fuck, you people.
Fucking what fight is this? What Kieran Conway?
Yeah. Austin Williams undefeated, 11-0, 9 knockouts.
Is Conway even fought above British level? I'm trying to remember.
Fought Sissoko, Andy, Virgil Hunter's fighter.
Oh, so European level then. Fuck it, I'll go Austin Williams knockout, stoppage, some sort of fucking thing, mate. What a shit fight to pick, mate.
Like I said, I think the interesting thing is
the interesting fight is that Medov against Rosado, mate, the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
knows the ducking gatekeeper.
Well, I'm going
Gatekeeper
Williams
on
on points because I think Conway might be able to fucking see the final bell on this one. Yeah.
Parlay, baby, parlay.
Nah, I ain't gonna touch that one. I think I'm gonna go with the Canelo Golovkin over, and Makhmudov by stoppage. I think when you put those two together, you'll probably end up getting over even money. I think that's what I'll do this week. All right, Steve. That's all. That's the information I need, Steve. I'm the only one going points on that one. So, all right.
Good stuff. Anything else we need to discuss, boys, before we go on to Value of the Week? I think we've done enough, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've done our business. So, keeping with the theme of going back in time, I've managed to fish out another little clip to lead us into Value of the Week for episode 491. Andy was talking to hater Dave Loback back in the Mayweather-Pacquiao preview special. The fight had been signed. Everyone was buzzing. Hater Dave was chatting away. And all of a sudden, Andy, talent spotted that he is, recognised a potential future panelist in our midst and dragged her out onto the call. Let's have a listen.
What the fuck?
I just wanted to make a comment about the judging. Like, I'm personally not too worried about dodgy judging. I mean, I know it's Vegas. There's a very good chance that we'll probably get something that's way off. But in a fight like this that everybody's going to be seeing, I think the fans are going to be the judges. And if it is wide in one way and somebody gets robbed, everyone's going to know. You know, everyone's going to see it. Everybody's going to know which guy won the fight, unless it's a very close fight, and then which case doesn't really matter.
Dave, who's the female in the background, mate?
That's my mom. I thought it was your mum.
Is that your mum? Go and put her on the phone.
No, she doesn't want to talk.
Come on, put her on the phone.
Ask her who she thinks will win.
Come on, put her on the phone. I want to ask her a question.
What do you want to ask her? I'll tell her.
No, put her on the fucking phone. I'm not going to be a prick or anything like that. I'll be a gentleman. Put her on the phone.
Okay.
He sounds a bit wary saying that.
What's her name, by the way?
Hello.
Hello, dear. What's your name? Hi, can you hear me?
I'm David's mom.
Aye, sorry. What's David's mum? What's your name?
Question for.
What's your name? Sorry.
Cindy.
Cindy. Are you pumped for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight?
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, May 2nd. I'm ready.
Ready? Who's going to win?
I think Pacquiao's got to win for sure.
Yes, we'll have that.
I'll give you back to David.
Thank you. Cheers.
You have to go by who's cuter. Who's cuter, Pacquiao or Mayweather?
Oh, you like the Asian men, do you?
I like the Latinos.
I've done Asians.
Thanks for that.
I remember that actually.
Cindy Lowe back in the house.
Fucking Tommy and Kurt on the call as well.
You Scots are some of the most classless sons of bitches on the face of the earth.
What are you talking about? I was absolutely perfectly pleasant to her. What are you talking about, you cunt?
Yeah. You like the Asian men.
So what? Like, is Pacquiao Asian? He's no a fucking
not
white. He's no white Caucasian guy, is he? We fucking for Scotland. He's no a fucking black man for Denver or anything like that. He's a fucking Asian.
No, he's part Spanish.
That wasn't Cindy's only appearance, Andy. I'm not going to play anymore, by the way. But she came on another couple of times, didn't she?
Dylan, I think your purpose is trying to go through fucking videos. You're trying to fucking flame us and get us to fucking bail. I'm expecting something bad to crop up some week. That
Steve, just think if you spent this like I'm almost tempted to like get the predictions for next week out to you guys earlier in the week so you could spend your time watching footage because I'm almost curious how could you be if I gave you homework.
That's well over 5 years ago, that call, by the way, must admit.
Yeah,
Jesus
2015.
We escaped cancel culture, and Wellington's going to dig it up to make sure that we finally get cancelled.
No.
I tell you what, hopefully Steve doesn't dig up that fucking Orlando Cruise.
The Orlando Cruise one?
Jesus Christ, man. We have to fucking fish that one off the airwaves pretty quick.
That is one of the funniest things that I have ever been a part of in my entire life. That's one of the greatest lines ever.
By laughing so much by that night, it was the puns and the innuendos were just off the charts.
Head up on our knees.
I can't remember everything that got cut out of that. Like I remember
everything, mate. They did it again, just about.
He really?
Just about. I'm sure. Didn't think.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. There was just such.
It was at least 20 minutes it cut, I think.
That's bullshit.
That was the days. That was the days before we did the live episodes as well. We reached to record it, then up it. The very early days.
People haven't. That's ridiculous. People haven't heard because for the people who haven't heard it, I mean, I don't give a shit. Tommy had a great line in there. Tommy said. He said on Saturday night, Cruz is getting beaten around the ring. Also, he's fighting Salido.
No,
we get cancelled now if that got paid.
That is too colloquial and esoteric. I think
it was a Customato comment. It was a Customato.
Oh no, the
comment,
Customato comment, Andy. That was on the Bryn Jonathan Butler episode when he came on to talk about Tyson's upbringing. I was on that call as well. He said, "Oh, did you know Cuss was from England?" And he said, "Really? Yeah, he was born in England. He's from Ramsbottom."
Sorry, I thought there was a bit. I thought it was that episode.
No. Well, even though I cut these, I can't take the credit for going out and finding them again. They came up on the comments, and I noticed the comment popped up saying, "I can't believe Dave Loback's mom came on the call." And I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I must cut that one." And that's how I found out about it. Same with you and the Sonic the Hedgehog rings. Someone had made mention of it in the comments. There you go.
Hey, Andy, read Josh Ford's comment.
Sorry, mate, I just put on the NFL there. Give me a second here. Where's the comment?
It's on the page.
I'll read it out for the audios. He says, "I remember listening to the post-Bellew Clev podcast, Andy saying the best thing about the card is getting oral sex."
That's true. I'm not going to get into the fucking details, but that card was so shit and so boring. I managed to fucking divert for a couple of minutes. You know what I'm saying?
How many details do you need? I mean, that's pretty much, it's quite succinct.
And then I ended up getting... What fight was that? Was that the rematch? Because
wasn't the first fight good and the second fight sucked?
Yeah, it was the rematch. Rematch was shit.
I ended up in an awful state that night. I'll tell you what, I was far worse for the fucking Klitschko Fury fight, mate. That was fucking hanging out my farter for about 2 days after that fight. Paul, I think Paul Webber even got fucking bodied because I remember him saying that Klitschko was going to knock out Fury with a fucking jab, and I was like, I ain't having this. And I think Tommy was even having to go back at him as well, coming out with comments like that.
I wonder if either of your children were conceived because the fight was horrible.
I'm trying to think now, mate.
Are we into the value of the week? Have we gotten there?
How long ago was Broner made Anna, by the way?
Yeah, I'm going to say that Marcus Patterson.
No. My oldest was born at that time, mate. I think that was 2013 that fight, Steve? 2013, 2014?
13, 14. Was it 14
Yeah,
out
so
of my head?
my daughter was about 18 months, 2-year-old at that time, and the wee man came by accident. I literally came by accident. I'm not getting into that one, mate. I got fucking assaulted that entire weekend, mate. So I'll leave it at that.
Got assaulted.
Yeah, if
That's
I find any more,
weekend of debauchery.
Get it, innit?
It is, mate. Especially when you're at your prime in that, mate. But nowadays you're just like a fucking wasted rag. You know, fuck off. Pull the light when you're finished and switch the light off as well. Clean me up.
I'll see if I can find out any more clips.
It's good job we're not going to get cancelled anyway. We escaped all that, didn't we?
I like Dr. FMG's that Scottish charm straight from the Sean Connery playbook. Wow, you're funny.
Oh dear. Anyway, on to the belly of the weeks. Your first nomination, an announcement from Isaac Warrior. Said day for Britain. Says Isaac. I think he's doing it on purpose at this point.
He's fucking got to be here.
He's a good lad in the old Isaac. He's funny enough.
I see that he's verified, and
he's verified.
I wonder who had to assist him in that process.
Just how you switch your phone on, Isaac. See, there's a button here. Press it here. It says on ON.
Spanish language verified. The WBC have created a new special WBC belt, Andy, the Zapoteca belt, also known as the Jaguar Warrior belt, which will be awarded to the winner of Canelo versus Triple G on September.
Yes, mate. I responded to this tweet with all the dignity I could muster. Get what I said?
What?
Fuck off. Hey, Canelo get another gift wrap that fucking belt there, man. Another fucking shitty. Fucking, what was the other one? That's Tecker belt, that type of shit. I know he's into easy art and all that type of stuff, man, but fuck me.
Steve, I kid you not, I really like that belt because I think it matches these shoes that I just bought at the Adidas store. I might go and grab them real quick and go on cam. So yeah,
dropping some acid.
You guys go on, but I'll be back. And
as a wise man once said, Matty, it was what it was, and it is what it is.
Amen.
The Quote has been nominated. You belong with the legends, someone said, and then they put her up there with Floyd and Tommy Hearns and
James
Joe
Toney,
Lewis,
Sugar Ray.
Tony, Sugar Ray.
Who the fuck's Ali, man? Where's Ali?
Look at this. For fuck's sake.
Well, Ryan Deal, Rob, did make his own version of different legends.
I thought that was the version that she was actually after putting on her Insta. It wasn't, but no. Fucking easy I am.
Who's the one top left, Steve, with the?
Well, I thought it was KSI, but apparently it's FA Jagber. I think Dominic has rightly identified. Oh, here's Matty now live. Let me get rid of this.
Put them in the bin, Matty.
There we go.
Put them in the bin.
There you go. Oh, sorry, Matty. I cut you off. Where are we? How do I get? Hang on. Solo layout. There we go. Face for radio, this fella. This is why we don't do camera.
Face with hot house, by the way.
Well done, Matty.
Do they have fucking braille lumps up the side of them runners, do they?
Let's see you smoke that bong.
Yeah, it's FA Jagber apparently. We've got Yildirim down the bottom there. We've got the Doc.
Fucking hell. The Gad.
The Gad.
Gaddy Gad.
And Morty glows in the dark.
And Wellings, the biggest deviant of the lot in the top corner there as well. So there you go. Well done, Ryan. He's quite the Photoshop. He also produced this one for us as well, which you've seen. The Phantom of the Opera.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
Woo. That's quality.
And this one.
Let's get this fucking musical on the road, please. Fuck's sake. Phantom of the Opera. Unbelievable.
Yeah, next one here. Michael Benson has been tweeting out. Shoes is nominated this. Tony Bellew is talking about Fury versus Joshua. AJ is the biggest draw. If you're going to be reasonable and say 50-50, it'd be crazy not to take it. But at 60-40, I would be hesitant because you bring an awful lot to the table, AJ. Probably more than the champion himself.
Wow.
Jesus fucking
He's
Christ.
relentless, isn't he?
Oh, mate, I'm telling you right now, he's
Get
so
down
far
off him,
up.
Bellew, will you? Just get down off him, man. You're embarrassing yourself. Why would you be like that about another grown man, man? For fuck's sake, what's the matter with you?
60-40 for Anthony Joshua is one of the most generous offers that I could possibly fucking imagine in sports.
I've said it before. He's so far up AJ's arse he could lick his fucking eyeballs, by the way. That's how fucking far up he is. He's even fucking taking out rent. AJ's charging rent because he's got a self-contained flat up there as well. Fucking hell, man.
I fucking hate these percentage discussions. It's something that's after coming in the like social media era or the internet era and all. Because I cannot fucking remember ever another time in the sport where fans of one fighter and another fighter would get together and argue with who deserves a bigger share of the fucking purse based on what the commercial. First of all, numbers don't lie, so it'd be easy to fucking find out who the biggest draw is there if they wanted to. You know, they got fucking algorithms, all kinds of crazy shit, fucking analytics that they can. But it doesn't matter. Like, what the fuck has it got to do with Tony Bellew? Fucking hell, man. Give me a break. He deserves a 50-50. Fuck me. Would you just get down? What is it? When did this fucking relationship with AJ and Bellew fucking turn into this? Like, was it coincidentally when Bellew took his job on his own? I don't know, like, but it's fucking embarrassing, like.
Here, do me a favour, Rob. I don't know if you're on your phone or got a laptop near you, but go to the Zone and check Tony Bellew's status in the Zone. He's not just a pundit by all accounts.
All right, okay. I'm not going to be able to do that now, so someone's going to have to tell me.
Nah, he's some sort of... I need to go and dig it out again to give the exact title, but it was like some sort of editor or something like that. I don't know. So he's kind of like more involved rather than just being the front man, you know?
It's an embarrassment, is what it is.
Exactly, because at the end time his comments about Gervonta Davis, you know, you need to come over to a real platform. You need to join the Zone ASAP. No fights for you, baby.
Lithgow's right in the chat. I've said this myself in the past. Joshua doesn't even ever mention him or recognise him. It's a one-way friendship. Joshua doesn't even know who he is.
Joshua's got too many friends, man. That's his fucking problem.
Here he is again. It's madness to lowball AJ. Tony Bellew on the Fury Joshua purse spit.
How's that a low ball? How's that a low ball, really? I mean, come on, fuck. I mean, the money he's going to make, just forget about what he's going to make off the fight. Think about the money he's going to get off endorsements, man. Sponsorships. Interviews. Fuck me. He's going to be fucking crawling in it. How much fucking money does the cunt need? He's fucking a multi-millionaire.
I know. Well, he's chief ringleader. Anthony Fowler's been getting stuck in on Twitter. He said, I asked my missus' kid what she learned at school today. She said Roman numerals. Surely they can teach children stuff there's actually going to use in life. She's only 9, but still. Gavin McDonald said, don't get me started on education, mate. I don't know one person who's done well from going to school or uni.
Fucking it. See that?
Not his brother. Not his brother, anyway.
Aye. Listen, see that spam-heavy wank bubble Fowler, by the way. I tell you right now, if this is the cunt that peddles CPD is going to cure fucking COVID, right, and whatever else it was, cancer and all this fucking shit, that fucking dick. It's clearly his daughter or his son, whoever it was, has actually got a theme at school about the fucking Roman Empire, supposedly, and they've been learning about the fucking Roman numerals and how to count it. But, oh, man, it's all about fucking getting it out there. Get it out in the tweet, man. Get it out in the tweets. Get me some attention. Fucking muppet.
I had to give his screen name another look there. I thought it said Big Twinkie Gay for some reason.
Apparently, he recovered who stole the pram on him as well. Your man phoned him and said, "I'll give it. You can have it back if you give me IV £100."
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, by the way, just we need to have a wee guess here. Maybe Matty can get out his parlay. But what movie is Bellew going to be in? Do you think? Apparently, he's in LA getting ready to shoot a film. I think it's another one of the Rocky films coming. That's what it'll be.
Yes.
Oh, they're doing the drag. They're doing Drago. They're doing Drago.
Stallone was raging, wasn't he?
Stallone's cracking, yeah.
I seen Stallone was raging on Instagram. That's what it'll be.
On the screen, Andy. He done a humble brag, didn't he? Not just a kid from Liverpool out in LA making movies. Don't let anyone blah blah blah. Yeah.
That'll be the Drago film. Then you're right, Rob, because I remember Stallone was raging on Instagram the other fucking week there about loyalty and all this shit, and it's clear they've got another fucking film lined up. So that's what it'll be. Rematch between him and Apollo Creed's son. You imagine it, all the marbles. Remember, Bellew was kicking about Liverpool by a gun. That's how he got pulled out of that fight, wasn't it?
Pretty Ricky Conlon. That was the script, wasn't it? Absolute. Fucking Stallone's not happy about it. He said, "Adrian, I'm scared, okay?" What was he so fucking up in arms about Adrian for? She showed her fucking true colours when he went to go fight Drago, didn't she? He's at the bottom of the stage. But you can't win. You can't win. So let's just shut the fucking mouth. I've enough on my mind. If they go fucking fight me Russian,
Mickey was the same though, mate. He'll kill you to death, Rock. He'll kill you to death.
You haven't been hungry since you won that belt.
Well, in the 6th Rocky movie, 2 of those people were dead and one wasn't. Guess who got the last? Yeah, someone got the last laugh.
Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves ya. Fucking hell. I've got the nostalgia here, by the way. Jesus, fuck me.
Oh dear. Chris, throwing in this one. I don't know what's happening over at Buckingham Palace, but it's not nice.
Fucking 18 stone about you.
Oh, there's been some crackers flying about. Savannah Marshall got nominated. I can't remember who threw this in, but she's getting sponsored by Manjaro's. The same Manjaro.
Fuck you, Floyd. Fuck you. Moving on. There's a new goat in town.
She's not quite as glamorous as Floyd. Someone nominated Joe Goose and says, "Look at the fucking state of that melon."
Fucking hell, man! He's had that fucking like hair dryer out there, kind of fluff it a wee bit. Eh? Got to have, man. Got to have.
Him and Lennox are brutal on that commentary, aren't they? Jesus.
What's his name again? Mr. Host.
Oh, Brian Kenny.
Brian Kenny. He still calls him Lennox. Lennox.
Yeah. Joe looks like Robert De Niro after a chemical peel.
It's like when Henry Winkler had his fucking Indian summer in the movie business, isn't it? When he came back for like Waterboy and all.
Hey, woman.
Oh, British
apartment every night.
I don't know where I am.
Bring the princess over my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man.
Get no shot.
You get no shot, and I mean that.
Let's take things up a level, boys. Let's take things up a level. There he is.
Oh, AB.
He says he's got no shame, Andy. He said nothing can embarrass me. That's what he said. And then he sort of appeared and went,
You could not run. You could not fucking get that kind of redneck by blowtorch, by the way. Right, swear to fucking God, that guy's got no shame. I see they're really putting out videos that he's struggling in fucking training apparently as well. He's having to get coaxed through fucking sessions. It's not good for AB, baby. It's sad to see.
This video, though, one of the listeners sent this to me. I don't know if it was Gavin Graney or Joe Thackeray or one of the boys sent it to me on Insta. They were looking for Andy on Insta so they could send it to him. But in this video, he kind of does like an Instabird move where he fucking shows his hair, but he's got his bare arse sticking up in the background. So get that soft ass shit off the screen. Literally, Adrian brother.
Is he going great, or did he comb some cum in his beard?
But if she had a good spurt back at him or something like that.
You never know where he's
probably your one from the back of the limo again, is it?
Oh, exactly.
Oh, the old hood rat.
Big
What a
dick,
state
man.
that was, by the way. Jesus Christ.
My God. Yeah. Anyway, let's take things up another level. Matthew Butters nominated Baumgardner. Here's one for you, Rob. I'm going to eat your ass. Alicia Baumgardner goes in and gives it straight.
That's not the first time Rob's heard that. It's just
Rob's got instant wood, by the way, right now. I can tell you.
Apparently, she threatened her after that.
Rob, I'm going to ask you, right? In fact, I'll ask all you actually, because I mentioned it last week. It was about Shannon Courtney's eyebrows. Well, Baumgartner's done the same fucking thing. She shaved off her fucking eyebrows and painted some on. Why did they fucking do this?
So this.
Well, am I supposed to have the answer to this?
Yes, it's your by the end, mate.
This was towards Michaela Mayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about things I'd spend $84.95 on.
Your OnlyFans, Matty.
Oh, hey, talk about OnlyFans. Andy Ruiz's trunks with OnlyFans on the fucking back here.
Oh,
Imagine that, by the him fucking,
But his subscriptions are through the fucking roof, all right.
Gordon's a Mars bar, a fat cunt.
Well, if you want big tits on OnlyFans.
That's a great thing about having a fat ass is you can have a bigger advertisement.
We want full round ones, Rob. No fucking saggy fucking 70-year-old, you know,
tattooed ones.
Exactly, mate. You know.
There he is. He's a state, isn't he, man? He looks like Johnny Vegas going into white collar.
Size of that,
Look at
man.
the fucking state of him.
Look at that. He's even got snakes and ladders on his fucking neck tattoo there as well. The state of that as well. Fucking hell.
He's in some shape. Yeah, Joe Kennedy's nominated the WBC. They called shout out to both fighters. What a fight. Fight of the year candidate, the WBC, said Andy.
Oh, fight of the year candidate.
Dick.
Maybe fucking sleep of the year candidate, possibly, mate. Because I had fucking some problems sleeping last week after my fucking heavy cold and that. But fuck me. Watch that shite on repeat with fucking pity to sleep at the end insomnia. Trust me. Fucking garbage fight, mate.
That's
garbage.
Terrible fucking comment. Jesus Christ.
Shane Mosley, nominated by South Africa.
You got fucking Randy Savage specs, wouldn't you? Yeah, Miss Elizabeth.
He looks like you know when birds get like a delivery from Shein and they put it up on fucking Instagram. Shein Hall, this little see-through number. What's he at, Shane? Like, is this would the son not go have a word with a man? For fuck's sake, get off Instagram, stop fucking meeting ones on Tinder, and fucking change your shirt down, will you? You're making a show of it.
Rob, no, he's one half of the new cover group, Black Said Fred.
Hey, I tell you what, his old man's looking in decent shape, isn't he, Jack?
Aye,
looking well.
Jack's after trading in the sailor hats. He's fucking retired from the seas.
It's the Randy Savage specs I can't fucking get past, though, mate. What the fuck's all that?
Oh, he's midlife crisis pointing emote. Well, I suppose he has been for the last 10 years.
Isn't it? That's the kind of pity about social media and all these things, like, because in years gone by, like, right, I've no idea. I don't know. Take fucking random fighter Titus Bramble, for example, not Titus Bramble, Livingston Bramble, some of these guys, Don Carey. I don't know what the fuck they were like in their relationships. I don't know like what they felt like when they were heartbroken. I don't know what their fucking fashion faux pas were, but now I have to fucking see everything. Why can't I just remember Shane Mosley as a great fighter? I have to remember him as this fucking romantic schlep running around in a see-through top. Fucking ruining me. Fucking legacy here on all these fighters.
Those would go really well with Oscar's fishnets.
Yeah.
And then the Paul and his missus for a weigh-in against Ricardo Mayorga rematch to get a last slap.
Oh, brilliant, Rob, man. Aaron Superman Davis crying on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't want to fucking, you know what I mean? He's just Aaron Superman. Marlon Sterling's just Marlon Sterling. I don't know about any love letters he wrote to fucking ones on. You know what I mean?
What he's really missing is one of those half yellow, half gold Danny Garcia jackets.
Oh no! Don't encourage him. Whatever you do. Anyway, he might get into influencer
For only
championship
$100,
boxing.
it's probably all he can afford, Steve.
Exactly. Someone tagged the Asylum account in on this. I don't know how or why, but it ended up with like about 500 retweets or likes or something. It was booming. So I don't know who this guy is. Oh, this is Anison Gibb. Apparently, he won the Influencer Boxing Championship on Saturday evening. Matthew, I don't know if you
He knocked someone out on the zone or something, didn't he?
Look at his nipples, man. They're like Logan, but he's dipped in Bovril. They fucking nipples, man.
No, Steve, I can't say that I was aware of the goings-on of the ICB, but I guess I'll have to start paying attention.
Rob seems to know. The zone, Rob, yeah?
I could be wrong now on that if it was the zone, but he knocked someone out in 4 rounds. He stopped the guy. He looked actually not bad. He was one of the YouTubers who looks like he can have a fight. But that's where we are now. You know what I mean? That's where we are. We have a casual eye over the fucking YouTubers who can't fight.
Seen in Germany last night, Steve, as I was mentioning, these influencers and 25,000 fucking live subscribers. Fucking.
I swear.
You get Matt and Rob in the ring here, by the way. That's what we need to do.
I'd kill Matty, wouldn't I?
Right.
But I was in Germany, right? And I was buying runners or something in a shop, and there was all these.
You're buying what? Rubbers?
Runners, trainers. As we
I think you rubbers, mate. You need to be clear here now.
No, it's not the fucking 80s, man. What do you think?
I'm sorry, man. You're not Irish. You didn't wear rubbers.
Rob, I wouldn't do it unless you trimmed your beard. I'm just saying that right now. That's unfair.
Neither of you are passing Vardo, are you? Anyway, go on, Rob.
Exactly.
But I was in a sneaker store or whatever, and I'm buying a pair of runners, and there's these little young ones, and they're all like fawning over this guy. And I was saying to the missus, man, he must be a pop star. Like, he must be like Hasselhoff out here. And I called him, I was like, and they were all like, getting his autograph and taking a picture with him. And I was like, come here, who's your man? And they were like, he's YouTuber. That's like, fuck him. What the fuck is that? So am I. A picture of me.
Hi, Rob's a YouTuber.
Yeah, you're a YouTuber as well, exactly. Anyway, Deanson Gibb, congratulations to you. Finally, he's been back again. I don't think he's selling anything yet, but look out for Floyd in the ping pong circuit, playing here with his mate.
You're a tricky player. So it's 20 to 15.
What? He tricky. I come back. What? You know he an Asian. Now he's gonna switch up on me. It's gonna be tough, ladies and gentlemen. But I gotta try to pull it off. Hey, a lot of speed. Damn! Oh yeah. 16 times. One more speed. Come on. It was Usher. Now it's Johnny Dan. I'm going with this, man. I'm smoking these boys, man. I'm smoking these boys, man. You better airdrop it to me.
Did Floyd have an exhibition fight in Japan planned here?
I tell you what, for a fella who's amassed such a big fortune, he definitely looks like he has a lot of real and genuine friends around him, doesn't he?
Exactly. I actually feel a bit sorry for him, man. I don't know.
Did he yell out that he's Asian?
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
Okay.
See, but honestly, he's got. See all the cars. How many cars has he got there? But fucking
there's loads.
25.
Yeah, easily.
Fucking imagine the fucking insurance fucking paperwork every fucking year of the sort of that shit out. Road tax. Fucking hell.
Fucked out looking for a handout territory, I think.
I mean, the thing is, it depreciates every fucking year in value, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. It depends what ones he's got there.
Cars can be a good investment. The newer shit, it's all questionable though.
He's embarrassing, isn't he, Floyd? Not all that money, no friends. He's just, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, I think he doesn't seem to have any fresh vocabulary, fresh banter. It's always the same. The hand signals, like he's fucking trying to bring in a fucking airline or some shit, you know.
People with money get bored. Like that's
He had
the
another
problem.
one.
When you can have everything, what do you do?
He had another one from today. I didn't have time to clip it for the show, but he's back selling things. He's back selling. Matty, you love this. He's selling access to online gambling.
Oh mate, didn't he? Leave it till we get back. Honestly, I've got one as well for him.
Oh, I got it. All right,
Not shocked. Not shocked.
I'll want to bring it up as well. I'll bring you into it, mate.
Right, what have you got then for us, Andy? That's all the ones I've got.
I'll just segue in it and then bring Rob into it because obviously, as Rob was mentioning, he's on there on Instagram. He's bet online, I think it was. The money man saying that he's putting 50 G's on the Baltimore Ravens to beat the New York Jets. So the Floyd Mayweather money man's going right off the fucking cliff here, putting his money in his mouth as and betting against the worst fucking team in the NFL. So I don't know where to go for his 50 G's, but I'd imagine it wouldn't be a fucking great lot in return. I would imagine.
He's getting good money on fucking Aberdeen to beat Rangers. 50 G's on them as well.
We'll wait and see then. We need to wait and see.
No, but the ad is bizarre. Did you see the ad? It's like, I'm Floyd. He's selling online gambling. He's like, the usual. This is Floyd Money May, and we're going to make the money all day. We're doing some online gambling, and I am the GOAT. So I'm going to continue to feed the goats. And he's got like a stack of hundreds, and he's got two baby goats. He's got like two baby goats in the seat beside him, and he's like trying to feed him the money and all. It's fucking mental, man. I don't want them. Again, another bizarre Floyd Mayweather ad. Like,
for fuck's sake. One of our goats died yesterday. I could have pulled off something like that, Andy. I'd have had a fucking RSPCA at the door.
The fucking RSPCA show up and they're like, there's $100 in this fucking goat's mouth. We know the culprits. Open a shut case.
Yeah, what I'm thinking there. Did anybody ever watch Jeremy Clarkson's farm show on Amazon? And he gets the fucking phone call and he says, Wayne Rooney's dead. It was one of these fucking Rams fucking died in the fucking field.
You gotta love they had a Ram named Wayne Rooney.
Oh my god! Any more, Andy?
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, I hoped Osman might win the night actually, because seeing as the NFL season starting back up, but it was a battle of the running backs last night. Don't know if you've seen it, Matty. Adrian Peterson, the Hall of Famer, fighting Le'Veon Bell.
No, I heard about it though.
So Bell knocked him out, fucking jab to the body, I think it was, and kind of faked a right hand, shot the right hand over the top and dropped Peterson square on his arse.
Cracking knockout.
It was actually.
Cracking knockout that was, yeah.
Like a la Charlo?
Well,
Like,
just about me.
against
Well, I'll
Mazzaro?
stick it in the chat. I'll stick it in the chat for you. Give me a second.
There
you go. Fire away.
Okay.
And the one, I don't know who you gave this one. Maybe the Kinahan cartel. So RJ on Twitter, actually, he kind of like loves to kind of issue some receipts. He says leaders of the Kinahan cartel have fled their homes in Dubai and are moving between the UAE, Qatar, and Jordan. Some have attempted to travel to Asia under assumed names as the international manhunt to bring them down to justice intensifies. So maybe need to start looking into fucking said sand dunes or near sand dunes, possibly. Could be hiding in there just to kind of pass that one on as well, mate. So, one for Fury. Fury for some of the fucking shite he's coming out with, man. He's. I think he's going to announce a WWE tour. I think actually, to be fair, mate. I'm with Rob, but I do not believe this offer is legit. But at the same time, is why send the offer? Why book the dates in stadiums? And then try and move the goalposts all of a sudden, like, it's going to be this date. I don't know, it's just not adding up for me for some reason. So I'll add Fury in there just for good banter.
The thing about it is, why have the other date booked if you want to fight? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 17th of December apparently was one of the first dates, and now it's become early December and then late November was the 2 dates. I think. I don't know why. It's just something's off with me about that one. Like I can't figure it out yet.
Yep, something's definitely off. Matty, any Belly of the Week nominations from you, please?
God. Other than that chick dying and fucking overboxing, I can't think of anything.
Well, here, on that subject, Matty, we had one come in here late, which I've just cut. Frank Warren has explained that they put on Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua talks on hold following the passing of Queen Elizabeth and will resume in the next week. Tyson and I, we just don't feel it's appropriate at the moment out of respect for
Fuck off! Get it made, man. Get it fucking off. Jesus Christ, man.
Hey, Rob, what do you feel about this?
I think I best off sitting this one out. I think.
Anybody of the weeks, Rob?
Yeah, no, I think just Fury. Like, I'm so sick of it. I'm like, I understand it's theater, it's analytics, it's keeping the brand, it's keeping the fucking money train running. But I'd say he's maybe wanting to protect some of his assets that may get frozen somewhere down the line, and he's wanting to make big fights quickly. So that might pay some kind of, he needs dividends from the trip to the Saudi or whatever going to be in December. But I'm so fucking sick of hearing their two names mentioned together when there's absolutely zero chance of this fight being made. Zero. And I don't think it gets made next year either, but I have that one. So I think we never see it.
What are they doing with this? I mean, seriously, if they just want to have a bit of banter, just like fucking stretch Eddie and Joshua just for a fucking laugh. I mean, I know we probably would laugh at it, but seriously, you've got to fucking cock teasers with fucking dates. You've made contract offers. I know you're going to say, well, Queen died and all this other stuff, and we've got the dates made up. Saudis maybe they need to push it back. We want the 17th, but it's got to be this date. What the fuck? Apparently, it was so easy. They sent the offer, they sent the dates. Now all of a sudden it's got to be this and that, and the fucking I can't understand it.
It's just because they had 24 hours to sign it on Thursday. Then the Queen dies, and now all of a sudden they're gone into 10 days in the morning because Frank Warren just couldn't bring himself to negotiate at a time like this. Would you fuck off, man? Will you? Give me a break.
Can you imagine if a fucking tax man came to Frank Warren's door tomorrow? I think Frank's going to say, "Oh, sorry, I'm in morning." No, we'll see you in the afternoon, pal. We'll fucking sort you out then.
I was like, I heard that one before, man. I'm back. Give me the money.
Liquidate. Anyway, there we go. That's all of the ones. Anything from Oz? Nothing this week, Johnny. So let's go through them again very quickly and see who is picking what. So first of all, we had Isaac Lowe with his said day. We had the Zapateka belt. We had the Groat and the usual suspects and the unusual suspects as well. We had Tony Bellew with a bit of ring licking, as he likes to do. It is the Bellew of the week after all. We had Gavin McDonnell getting stuck in on history. We've got the Bomber again. We've got AJ himself. We've got Savannah Marshall with Manjaros. We've got Joe Goosen, AB, Alicia Baumgartner eating that ass. We've got Ruiz, Shane Mosley and his dress sense. We had the ICB Influencer Boxing Championships. We had the fella doing the protest. Floyd Mayweather doing the ping pong and all the ones that the boys threw in. So quite a nice little week as well. Yeah, Chemical Kinahan. Who are you going for, Andy? Episode 491.
I'm going to go for Rob's good lady, Alicia Baumgartner. She just sounds pure filth, mate. She can eat my ass anytime.
There we go. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
You can tell. She'd be able to walk home in any prison's fucking yard, by you can tell.
Alicia, for you. Rob, who are you going for?
Yeah, it's a toss. It's a toss-up. It's a solid toss-up between AB and AB because Alicia Baumgartner following a fucking popular trend at the moment because there was one UFC fighter as well. Now, don't ask me because as you know, I'm a fucking casual observer when it comes to the MMA, so I don't know. But there was a guy, one of the guys, and he was going on a rant, like a kind of a Booker T rant, and he was like, "You better win your next fight because after you win your next fight, I'm coming on your ass. I mean, I'm coming for that ass." He was
like, Diaz, I think it was, mate.
Yeah, so and then Bob Gardner's eating the ass, and AB is showing his ass. So fucking arse bear, Adrian Broner, AB, getting his OnlyFans on with his arse up on the hotel bed. Like, and someone said that, but just don't fucking say that to me. I don't want to see that. For fuck's sake. So yeah, I'll go with Baumgartner because she had her fight postponed. So we'll give her some kind of title.
You let her garden your bum any day, wouldn't you, Rob?
We'll never forget.
Yeah, I'll go for her as well, Matty. Someone else said that recently. I don't know if it was Danny Garcia or some other boxing simpleton came out with a similar comment. But this week it looks like it's 3 for Alicia. And who are you going for, Matt?
You know, just to throw one in there, a little bit different, I'm going to go for the WBC, saying that the Ruiz-Ortiz fight was a fight of the year candidate. Nonetheless, to keep up with the theme, they can eat my ass in regards to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe, Matty, if you're lucky, could be this fellow. He hasn't eaten anything in a long time, I'd say. So he'd probably be glad of a good meal.
Can you imagine what his asshole looks like?
Eating ass is what got him in that state, the fucking first place, man, to be honest with you.
He's got a dangleberries hanging a bit, man. Jesus Christ.
Fuck's sake. This one's going to get canned, isn't it?
Looks like the degenerative. It looks like the fucking degenerative effects of syphilis, like what killed Al Capone there, doesn't it?
I just love Don Sullivan, Jose in the background. Just watching on.
One of the most legit characters in boxing, that guy, eh?
Probably got
Remember that one, Steve? What was the fucking fight again? It was Luis Santana against Terry Norris. Get on the Patreon and listen to this one, boys. Fucking hell. Luis Santana must be... Luis Santana is the only person to win and successfully defend a world title by getting fucking knocked out. Right? I'm fucking telling you, man. You need to go and listen to this shit. This is incredible stuff.
There's some good stuff. So yes, there we go. That's Booty of the Week for episode 491.
It's the booty of the week this week, Steve. Booty.
Sorry, I had fucking one there that we've given out the awards, but Wilder was at it again over the gloves, wasn't he? He was back out saying that he knows Fury cheated, and that's why he won't take him in a fourth fight because he knows.
He knows to this day. Anyway, it's not his week. It's Alicia Baumgartner's. She has won the Belly of the Week. Congratulations for episode 491. Ooh, that is
what's going on? On a totally unrelated note, by the way, what's going on in the Obanov case? Did you ever see what's the crack there? What was the verdict?
Don't know.
It's taking a long time for it to go to trial.
You get the row, they robbed it fucking day, some fucking jailbreaking, you know.
Get her in there, man. Get her out.
We'll call her out.
Become that knight in shining armor on the white horse.
Right. Well done, Alicia. Quick notes of housekeeping. Poundland employee said, "Are you on iTunes these days?" We're back on iTunes, thankfully. I was listening to another podcast as it happens, and they were complaining that they've been kicked off iTunes. There seems to be some kind of issue with Apple Podcasts at the moment. Thankfully, it was nothing to do with us, and we're back on, and it's their problem. So hopefully that resolved. Also, congratulations.
You'll be able to enjoy us at Pound Town again.
You'd be able to enjoy us at Pound Town, absolutely. Craig Jevons won the Andy Lee glove. I've sent it to him. We have another prize. So anyone who throws in a super chat, like Ryan Deal, who is our sole super chatter, he's also in the Patreon. So he has a double chance of winning this month's prize. It is, where are we? Let's see here. It's a Mick Conlon giveaway special. We've got my press pass from Conlon Mariaga and the Conlon Ruiz Falls Park 2019 program. So Conlon special there. If you don't want that, we can throw it back in again. But that's this month's prize. We'll do the draw at the beginning of October to win the Conlon the presser and the program. So that's for this week. Craig Jevons won last month. Congratulations to you. And also, let me quickly shout out to Greg N, who increased his pledge over at patreon.com/boxing asylum. And Adam Martin, who joined us this week as well. That's everything I've got. Anything to throw in there, Andy, before we finish up?
Oh, it's all the best of the boys for the week coming.
All the best to the boys. All the best to Andy, who's jumped on as usual, episode 491. Matty as well, who will be in the red hot seat next week to dissect Triple G versus Canelo 3. Rapping Rob Kelly, thanks to him as well. Thanks to everybody who's been in the chat. Thanks to Ryan Deal for super chatting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all those beautiful things. I've been Steve Wellings. We will catch you all again. Same time, same place, next week, and bye.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to Adam, move! We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking soul that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't. 7 year ain't. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.